Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Buffalo SportsCenter. I am Don, and for at least a couple of minutes, maybe a half hour, maybe an hour, maybe I go all the way up until the countdown is done at 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. But we'll see. It all depends on my health. I will sit here and react to everything that is going on Trade Deadline. I will be constantly scrolling my phone to see if there's any more trades, Sabres or otherwise, in the NHL. A lot is happening so far. I originally wasn't preparing to go live here today. I thought the Sabres would be quiet, that I would just sit sickly in my bed and ignore everything. But about an hour and a half ago, there is some major news involving the Buffalo Sabres. Namely Dylan Cousins, yeah. So, there we go. My stream is back up and running. So, reportedly, it hasn't been confirmed yet. That's a big thing to remember. This trade hasn't been confirmed yet. There is a framework of a deal where the Buffalo Sabres would be sending Dylan Cousins, much maligned, second-line center, to the Ottawa Senators in exchange for Josh Norris and Jacob Bernard-Docker. Jacob Bernard-Docker is a depth defenseman. I've been seeing some Sabres fans on Twitter go, oh, maybe he could be that D partner for Owen Power. If that were to be the case, I wouldn't like that. I think he's a slight upgrade on Connor Clifton for your third line, for the third pairing D role. He's not a top 4 D man. The big reason why Jacob Bernard-Docker is being traded away from Ottawa is simply because he hasn't been physical enough, and their general manager Steve Staios doesn't believe that Bernard-Docker is tough enough to play in playoff hockey. So take that as you will. Sabres have been we've had problems being physical when standing up for each other. But it appears that trade is likely to happen. Hasn't been confirmed again. We'll see how that progresses, whether or not it gets confirmed or not. Neil, what's going on? Bernard-Docker will be a good fit with Owen Power. Yeah, I just don't think so. Maybe Kevin Adams envisions that. I don't really see that as where Bernard-Docker's role should be. This team, oops. I get copyrighted. Watching TSN Trade Center. So. Oops. Oh, that was 10 hours ago. Damn it. Yeah. So I'm currently watching TSN's Trade Center here on ESPN Plus, and they have been absolutely, I don't know what they've been watching, but they love Dylan Cousins. A lot of highest potential player in this trade, which, yeah, sure, but they're talking about Dylan Cousins like he's some superstar in the waiting that's just dying to come to Ottawa. Like, Dylan Cousins has not been that player this season. Maybe he becomes that player, reinvigorated after leaving Buffalo. He can continue the trend of former Sabres that find a lot of success elsewhere. Yeah, Dylan Cousins can't fight. He can't fight. Yeah, literally. Garner Hathaway killed him, gave him that bloody face, I think a concussion as well. And Dylan Cousins hasn't been as prolific offensively, nowhere as close to as good defensively. He's been a shell of his former self. But if there's anything here to take away from this potential Norris to Buffalo, Cousins to Ottawa trade, is that this is a change of scenery for both of these guys. That's what I really think is the big deal here. Because Josh Norris has had a lot of injury concerns. He's had 2 separate shoulder surgeries already in his young career here back in Ottawa. He's not been on the ice very often. He's played a mean average of like 40 to 50 games a season, which for a second-line player is nowhere close to good enough. And Norris, just like Dylan Cousins, has not been everything the Senators were hoping for this season. So definitely, definitely something that Sabres fans should be a little concerned about. But yeah, TSN has they've been trash with their research. Very much pro Ottawa here, which I don't blame them. They're a Canadian show, Canadian audiences primarily. That's who their viewers are. So might as well pander to the Ottawa fans who are watching Trade Center. But yeah, I'll talk a little bit more about it in my NHL trade recap video, but I do like this trade for Buffalo. I think this is a good gamble to take on here for the Sabres. Josh Norris, I think, has got a lot more offensive upside than Dylan Cousins. I would say that Dylan Cousins definitely, he was stale here in Buffalo. He needed to go a long time ago. There was no reclamation for him here with the Sabres. He was beaten down by all the losing, by the constant trade talk around him this season. He looked unsettled, and I think this is a mercy killing for both sides. But folks, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. Yes, Jason Zucker was extended as well earlier this morning. And I'm looking at a tweet here that I saw last night that I am not too pleased about with the Rangers and JJ Peterka. There have been some conflicting reports about JJ Peterka thus far today. I wouldn't be surprised, though, if the Sabres were involved in one more trade. And I say that it doesn't necessarily have to be a big trade. It could be Henry Jokiharju going off to like Anaheim for a 5th or 6th rounder. I think that the Sabres make one more minor trade today, and then plus this trade here, so 2 trades. Although I do think that Kevin Adams should make one more major shakeup to his roster. But I would hate to see Peterka go off to New York. Peterka has just been so good 5-on-5. Yeah, but that Zucker extension, so the trade deadline, or the depth chart that I have thus far, I would consider it to be Greenway, McLeod, then Zucker. That's a very good third line. That's one of the better third lines in the NHL. The problem is the second line is kind of trash, the fourth line is trash, and then your D and goaltending is trash. So the Sabres still have a lot of holes to plug here in their lineup. But folks, if you see me go mute every now and then, it's because I'm blowing my nose. I am slightly sick. I don't know if y'all can hear it in my voice. I am talking a little bit like Squidward today, so been battling whatever. And if my voice dies on me, then I unfortunately would have to hop off the stream before the deadline countdown is complete. I think the ideal spot to put Benson is probably that second line, even though I know his offense has been very good. Um, I don't know, it's tough. Benson really should be in Rochester, I think. He's too young. His defensive awareness is still really good at this point in his young career, but I think he's been rushed a bit into the NHL. Ideally, he'd be in Rochester right now, but he's here. So unfortunately, he's going to go either in the fourth line or second line. But that third line seems to be pretty much locked up with Greenway, McLeod, and Zucker. I don't really think you should be putting Greenway on that fourth line. He's still got some offensive upside, and though that trio has had good chemistry early in the season. Yeah, but folks, do you think that Buffalo does any other trades here? Sounds like Jeff Skinner's on the trade block. Yeah, TSN currently talking about how Jeff Skinner could be on the move here today. The quest, the quest for playoff hockey may continue for Jeff Skinner. So this is some news that happened yesterday, folks. Oh crap. Why are the Islanders trying to keep all their old farts? They're out of the playoff hunt. Yeah, but TSN talking about Dylan Cousins like he's Tom Wilson. Ottawa's gonna be very surprised when they finally see Dylan Cousins in person. And this is how it's gonna end here for Cousins. Yeah, but folks, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. Wow, Logan Stankoven? That'd be a good pickup for Carolina. So, I wonder if I should just keep, I wonder how much trouble I get in with, YouTube if I just had Trade Center quietly in the background. Have it slightly, because I don't want to be talking for 3 straight hours. But folks, make sure if you have any questions, just hit me up in chat. I'm more than willing to talk about, any Sabres rumors here. But I really hope you, Henry Yokiaru, if this Jacob Bernard Docker trade cemented anything in my mind, Yoki is gone. Let me go to, wow. That's Josh Norris, how he's doing this season. Pretty eerily similar to the points total of Dylan Cousins, folks. I don't know. Cousins got 31 points, 11 goals. The rest are assists. Josh Norris, 20 goals, 33 points. Look at those games played, though. That's a concern. He only played a tops of 66 games. There's the thing with Dylan Cousins. He has been somewhat durable in his career. Oh. Deal is done! Wow. Folks, it has been confirmed. It's confirmed. It's confirmed. Oh, shut up, TSN. Wow. Alright, so that's happened. It's confirmed. The Sabres are giving up a second round pick alongside Dylan Cousins, and TSN is shocked by that. Yeah, so trade alert. Dylan Cousins confirmed going to Ottawa in exchange. Well, Dylan Cousins plus a second round pick. in exchange for Jacob Bernard Docker and Josh Norris. And Dennis Gilbert's gone. No! No! Dennis Gilbert gone. No! Why? The hometown boy. He's the only guy that was tough on the team. Why would we do that? God damn it. Oh my god. Alright, so that's your full trade detail. Adding grit. TSN has no idea what they're talking about here. Wow. So we gave so TSN is just shocked. They are absolutely shocked. So divided opinions already. But yeah, that's it. That's the trade. Folks, what do you think about it in chat? Give me your thoughts. Cousins, second round pick, Dennis Gilbert for Josh Norris and Jacob Bernard Docker. And TSN is going, wow, the Sabres had to give up something more? Really? They are so confused that we gave up more to acquire Josh Norris than Ottawa gave up to get Dylan Cousins. Like, have they not seen Dylan Cousins and how he has played this season? I mean, gosh darn. They clearly have not seen Dylan Cousins play this season because they're talking about him like he's a solidified number 2 center. I can guarantee you, not this. I can guarantee you that is not the case. That is not the case whatsoever. Bold trade here for Kevin Adams. Hey, I will give him credit. That's, this is bold. At least we can't say that he hasn't done anything now. He's done something. He has done something. Yeah, folks, this is a very bold move here for the Buffalo Sabres. Cousins has been terrible defensively. Yeah, Doc Satch. Yeah, I don't. People are really overrating. TSN's really overrating Dylan Cousins right now. This is weird. I think this is a good trade for both sides. Ooh, Neil, you are not gonna like Josh Norris's contract right now. He's got a lot of term. 2 years ago. So where is it? Just pull Puckpedia. So Josh Norris, I know he had signed an 8-year deal with the Ottawa Senators back in 2022, the summer of 22. He is under contract for another 6 years, I think at $8 million a year. So it's a pretty hefty one if they've updated it. Still there? No, they got rid of him. Yeah, David's life. Everything's starting to happen right now. Buffalo. All right, there we are. If they have added, yep, there's Josh Norris. Yep, so you can see 7.95 million for another 4 years, 3.5 years, basically. So that is the case, folks. You are about his salary cap situation. Josh Norris is going to be the highest paid Sabres forward, as my stream goes to shit of that. Right as people start trickling in. So you can see it right there. I can crop this. Nope, still can't see it. Yeah, you can. So, your clarity. This is how Sabres cap situation looks like now with Josh Norris. He'll most likely slot in as the Sabres second line center. Let's see, he updated the depth chart. Yes, it does. Oh, jeez. Stop! Oh, jeez. Yeah, sorry about that, David. Sorry about that, guys. Jeez. Yeah, he signed long term. Lot of term here. Lot of term. So, before I got cut off by my desktop and internet being terrible, so there we go. I don't know why. Here's Josh Norris' spot. Then take away Yokiarku down here. Probably put in Bernard Docker over here, right where Connor Clifton is. Although some fans think he should go to your top 4. Definitely not. Definitely not. I've seen him play this season. That should not be the case. But yeah, Josh Norris slots right in. I think he's a higher offensive upside here for your second line center. Definitely a good move for Kevyn Adams just to shake up this core. This is the first time the Sabres core has been changed in 3 years. So we finally get that much needed change that fans have been clamoring for here. Yeah. Brady and Josh Norris did grow up together, so I don't know how this is going to affect Ottawa's chemistry here. Yeah, they are. They are. It's durability is going to be a question of Josh Norris. That's definitely when he's healthy, he's really good. He's a perfect second line center for your team. The problem is he hasn't been all that healthy for a while now. Neil, if Mitch Marner were to sign for Buffalo, if you were to see, all right, I would put. Why is he here? Why is he in our top 6? Get him the hell out. He should be down here. Also, let's get rid of Jack Quinn maybe here at the deadline. Let's There was nothing on Vancouver. Trade Center has not talked about anything about Vancouver, although Elias Pettersson, those rumors of him maybe being traded away, they aren't dead, as we saw on Twitter yesterday, I think, from a couple of the insiders. So Elias Pettersson could still be dealt today, although I think a deal for Pettersson would happen probably before his no-movement clause kicks in on July 1st. So we're looking at early June, right after the Stanley Cup Finals happens. Vancouver, as far as I'm aware, has not traded anyone yet. But, well, you're asking about Vancouver. Looks like Brock Besser could be out the door here real soon. Yeah. Neo, nothing yet. Yeah, nothing on Henry Okiaru. I would expect him to go to a, he'd be a depth pickup. I was thinking the Stars on my first thought, but it looks like the Stars are very much engaged in talks for Mikko Rantanen, so. But Brock Besser could be gone. Jeez. Wow. They have not watched Dylan Cousins. I'm sorry, Ottawa. Maybe Dylan Cousins pans out for them, but unlike Reinhardt or Eichel, we knew they had upside. Dylan Cousins, he hasn't shown any glimpses of that recently. It's been 2.5 years since he's done anything, which has depreciated his value, which is why I think Kevin Adams threw in that second-round pick. But if you're a team, if you're the Sabres, second-round picks aren't that valuable to you anymore. They're only valuable in the sense of using that as a trade chip to get better players. That's what I think the mindset has to be now. That has to be the mindset here for the Sabres. After last night, Dylan Cousins, he deserves to be kicked to the curb. I mean, that was... Ray Ferraro called him out. He called his ass out. This is obviously a concern. What does he bring on the ice? Cousins hasn't brought anything. Cousins hasn't brought anything onto the ice in 2.5 years. It's been a long time. I don't know about that take. Ottawa just seems to be high off the hopium.
Getting ready for the playoffs in one single word.
We have Trade Center on the background.
How would you describe it?
Well, you know, I grew up French, right? So it's hard to pick.
Hey, Marty.
Word, but I would say erratic.
Hi, Marty.
Erratic, you have some highs and you have really low lows when it comes to Stuart Skinner.
Oh, Neil, if we could have Brock Besser, that's a fine consolation prize.
Steadier and climbing the ladder, and then in the playoffs it got better. And this year,
I would love to have Brock Besser on this team.
And it didn't get better. Now.
Then Mitch Marner just keeps shaking things up.
Hey, right.
Kevin, do something. More. We want more.
Too erratic for me to be able to go
give us more.
Say, hey, this is the guy that we can trust. And Chris Knobloch says we've been fragile of late. Yeah. Fragile usually means defensively, and it starts with goaltending. So that's why they're fragile.
And I think they go hand in hand here. You use the word erratic. O-Dog always talks about their defense being the dog park defense when they're not playing well. because it's just 5 guys chasing the puck around.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. If you watch that game last night, Joel Armia's goal, there's 4 guys back. It's a 2-on-4.
Make sure folks hit
Hit
that like button, subscribe.
Nurse and Bouchard. And Armia is wide open in the slot for a one-timer.
But that's not a great goal to give up.
Okay,
it's a shot on the ice in the middle of the net,
you're
and
right.
it went right through it.
But why are you giving up a one-timer from the slot on a 2-on-4?
Okay, but,
you need to
to Marty's point, though. To Marty's point, though, I get the fact they've got to be better defensively in front of them, but you've got to make the saves that are making.
You got to make the saves.
And right now they're not.
And I'm not.
Swear to God, if the turkey gets shipped out,
Stuart Skinner needs to be better. He has been.
Yeah, I'm hoping.
But
you can only hope that Jack Quinn goes bye-bye.
Arvidsson, you go right. McDavid needs to be better based on his standards. Ekholm, Bouchard. You go down that list of guys in that dressing room. Outside of 29,
guys, stop.
None of them are having great
How
seasons,
overrated is Dylan Cousins? How high do opposing fan bases
Jake Ottinger, way better.
consider Dylan Cousins to be?
Darcy Kemper,
Blackwood, based on
better. Based on you watch the games and you say,
yes,
I can trust those guys to make those saves.
We win that trade if Norris stays healthy, which is a big if.
Those are hearsay. Would you take this guy?
Absolutely cooked here, folks.
Skinner. That's what they're doing, and they're saying you guys got to play
they know what they have, but is it enough? That's the real question.
I mean, it was for them last year close enough, and the panel was just talking about the addition of Wallman. I think lost in all of this is Kulak is going to probably play in a top 4 role. So you can move Wallman around a little bit. I think there is more stability. This group needs to be better. I think it's the dog days right now, and they look unenergized. They look uninspired. They need to play better, and then you can judge the goaltending because it goes hand in hand. But
I'm not arguing. Wait till after today, Noodles.
Kevin Lankinen has been better.
There's not an upgrade in the National Hockey League out there for the Edmonton Oilers that would make sense cap-wise.
Oh, folks.
The cap issue is one, right? Because you could say John Gibson, healthy John Gibson is better.
John Gibson would be awesome on the training table.
Well,
he would sit there with
healthy.
He would be amazing.
Melko would have probably been an upgrade.
Forrest, I know their trainer. He would be awesome. He'd bring them sandwiches. They would hang out in ice bags left and right. But the bottom line is Stuart Skinner
loser.
played 82 games.
Here, this guy here.
59 in the regular season, 23
inept.
in the playoffs.
He's inept. I'm telling you,
I still think they need a goaltender there, Gino, because there's no NHL depth. Outside of Stewart.
I swear, Dylan Cousins becomes an old-timer Ottawa Senator. I'm gonna just shoot myself.
0 NHL games.
Yeah, the bottom line is the panel thing.
Make sure if you don't feel like watching this entire live stream, I will be making a video for later about everything that the Sabres have done up to and around the NHL Trade Deadline. I will be recapping all of the moves, so if you don't want to see me here, just pay attention later, a little bit after 3, I will record a video recapping everything the Sabres have done.
Hours away from 3 o'clock Eastern, and still a ton of big names on the board.
But we do have some things happening, at least. If only we could trade for another big boy defenseman here, but Sabres aren't buyers. We're not buying here. Sabres are definitely sellers of sorts, hesitant sellers. Yeah, this is your core shakeup. Good. Can we get Elias Pettersson then? Continue that core shakeup. Let's trade. Whatever. Let's get Elias Pettersson next. Elias Pettersson! Kevin, get on your fucking phone! Let's go! God, Senators are just high off themselves right here. They want a first for Ristolainen? Damn. Has Risto been that good for Philly this year, folks? I have not been watching Philly. They are so mediocre and uninteresting. Yeah. If you're a playoff team, I don't know if Dylan Cousins is your guy. I don't know if he's your guy. I'm still very surprised that Buffalo and Kevin Adams actually made a trade. This is very similar to the hockey trade we saw last year when Casey Middlestat surprisingly went to Colorado in exchange for Bo Byram. Sabres fans really believe he's going to be that guy? He's not going to be that guy. He's not going to be that top 4 D-man that we're hoping for. Jacob Bernard-Docker is not physical enough. He's not big enough. He's going to be another Connor Clifton. Yeah, this is it. Zach Ashton. I remember him.
Second in saves.
Talking about Winnipeg right now.
And the most shutouts this season was 6. Now, if you look at the Jets, too, they do have a lot of offense. Connors, Ehlers, Scheifele, they check all those boxes. The one
I don't think Cousins is to that level of Reinhardt, Eichel.
Will shut you down. They have the earmarks of a playoff team. They play with a lot of jam, and they haven't done it in the past.
JJ Peterka was equitable in return.
Like the year for them.
Right, I like that. I think this might be the year the cup drought ends in Canada, maybe.
Josh Norris is already cleared out.
2 years, wouldn't we all? But we did get the 4 nations. FanDuel is giving Canadian teams a plus 290 chance to win the cup. That's an implied probability of about 26%.
Yes, the Jets look great, but a lot of competition in the Central, which we'll get to in just a second. Just one other note for you as some teams are skating right now. Scott Laughton held out at the Philadelphia Flyers skate on this day. Doesn't necessarily mean he's been traded.
Scott
Laughton. We've been talking about it for about the last
under
3
trade
months.
rumors, subject to trade rumors for a while.
Of Philadelphia. Yeah, the Central, the Jets are great, but moves all around them of huge significance. Brian Hayes has more.
All right, thank you, JD. Back here with Emily Kaplan and Carlo.
Maybe train those guys, I guess.
One move we know that has happened in the Central last night. Brock Nelson on his way to Colorado. Another move we're bracing for. It has not happened yet. No guarantees that it will, but it could. Mikko Rantanen to the Dallas Stars, and with that, he would sign an extension. Obviously, pieces would go the other way, Emily, so pieces off the roster, you presume, would come out of Dallas. But if Mikko Rantanen does end up in Dallas, do they become the team to beat in the Central?
And Maroon's getting trade interest?
Yeah,
Who?
I agree.
Who wants Pat Maroon?
To say that too. That's your guys' thing. I agree. All right, I'm done with this.
This guy certainly doesn't like trading Norris.
Know
this guy is a total Senators cum guzzler, I guess.
Was not interested in futures deals, so these would be
both of these guys need a fresh start, though.
Extremely tight-lipped.
Still waiting on Henry Jokiharju, folks.
Why, in case this extension didn't fall through, they don't want.
Where's Henry Jokiharju? Where's that trade?
I've watched Dallas recently, and I think they're going to be a really tough team to beat, even without Mikko Rantanen.
Where's
the only reason they didn't run away with it early is because they were dealing with some injuries. Some guys were off to slow starts. Remember, Jason Robertson missed all of training camp after that.
Guys, where's
They've got the goaltending, they've got the defense, and
where's Elias Pettersson? Can we get Elias Pettersson in chat? Can we get him, please? Please,
even though
Kevin.
Lines are a little murky to us.
Kevin.
They get richer, so I would put them as the favorites until we hear about what player rosters are, and B, what Winnipeg's going to do, because we know that they've been actively
Swear,
looking for
Wyatt
some
Johnston,
specific
Dallas
center.
would trade him for Mikko Rantanen.
Winnipeg Jets, because we have some breaking
I don't know
news.
about
I'm gonna
that.
break it here on behalf of the insiders. Luke Schenn on his way to Winnipeg. Luke Schenn on his way to Winnipeg for. That is as serious and legit.
Oh, that was expected.
I'm legit. Officially not fraudulent for a second and a fourth rounder from Pittsburgh. So Luke Schenn on his way to Winnipeg. Brock Nelson in Colorado. We'll see what happens with Rantanen. But
Luke
Dallas
Schenn going
will be active between now and
Winnipeg,
3 p.m.
folks.
Yeah, Winnipeg's been the pace car all year, and now they have Luke Schenn. What do you make of it, Carlo?
I love the move to bolster up their blue line. I thought this was a move that they needed to make just to improve their top four, to play against the heavyweights like Colorado, like Dallas, that have made deep runs in the playoffs before. Winnipeg, even last year, they were a really good team, and they bowed out in the first round. Look, they're aggressively trying to improve this team that's already one of the best in the National Hockey League. And I think you look at the improvements that Colorado's made. You just touched on, the improvements that Dallas is looking to make. You look at the forward group for the Winnipeg Jets. I think if they can improve their second line,
I missed this.
and then slide
Kuzmenko getting traded for a second time this
a better
season.
chance in a 7-game series against these two teams right now.
So Kuzmenko originally with the Calgary Flames got dealt to Philly for Joel Farabee and Morgan Frost. Now he's getting dealt again for a third-round pick.
Probably something they're looking at in Winnipeg, but Dallas is
Not really
moves,
sure
making moves. Maybe
what Danny Briere is doing in Philly. Kind of a perplexing trade.
There's some real powerhouses out there, isn't there, Emily?
But folks, should I have like a poll or something? How should I be doing this? Tell Adams to call Rantanen and offer $13 million. Yeah, but Carolina's gonna want like Peterka first, all that stuff.
I think the East, the vibe I get from all the teams is like just make the playoffs, and
I don't think it's a bad
There's
trade.
all these teams in the mix, and in the West, I think that it's just top heavy.
Yeah,
these powerhouse.
they better
teams,
not
and
trade
I would
Peterka,
be
any of those
stunned if
guys
it's
that
not
Neil
either Vegas,
brought up.
Dallas,
Hey,
Winnipeg,
should we bring back
or
Casey
Colorado
Middlestat just for the
Canadiens.
memes? Should we do
They
that?
are loaded. That Central Division, man. And again, Winnipeg, they start the year 15-1. They recently just won 11 in a row.
Yeah.
Luke Schenn's there.
Vesna
goaltender. Let's see what they do between now and 3 p.m. James?
Kind of a steep price there for Luke Schenn. Good deal for Dubas. Rebuild here, you can see it.
Pittsburgh and Nashville doing this, it makes sense that Kyle Dubas, if he was planning at the time, which makes sense, would
Elias Pettersson,
Luke Schenn.
he's got a lot of upside. We've seen him be a franchise center. And if there's any time where his value is lower, it's now. Now would be the time to get him at a cheap price.
A second and a fourth.
Like wash each other.
Right, so he gets a second out of it.
Novak in a second for bunting.
Yeah, essentially. I'm glad you could do that because I couldn't have done that.
I think if I did that properly. So, yeah.
You played with Luke Schenn, Gio. Let's start with you in Toronto. What does he do to a dressing room? What does he do to your blue line?
Yeah, first off, in the dressing room, he's an unbelievable teammate, one of the best guys I've ever played with in that sense in the room.
How did Beauvillier get a second-round pick?
He was great.
And rivals trading with each other?
When he came in, he solidified our D core. He played with Morgan Riley, and they had an unbelievable playoff. The thing that caught me off guard was Schenner was making these little...
I swear, Josh Norris better be good. We're going to be paying him like a top 6 center here.
So I think it's a huge pickup.
So Kevin Adams does a very, very bold move.
He's a solid guy. He is not a second-line center. So it helps Frankie, but not their number one need, right?
But this is a need for the Winnipeg Jets. They
Why is there so many friggin' ads
on the
on
back end? Because
Twitter?
think about who they're going to roll out in their top 4. It's some combination of DeMello, Morrissey, Sandberg, Pionk. Like, you do run the risk of getting
The
leaned
ads
on
are
a
so
little bit
annoying.
in the playoffs. And if you're going to go top 4 heavy, at least it gives you a bigger body that you're going to maybe pair with your third pair player. But it gives you the ability to kind of lean back when you're going to get leaned on a little bit. And your point about Luke Schenn kind of making those nice little plays, he completely reinvented his game after he went down.
Was that 4 or 5 years ago? It seems like he's been a useful player in a bunch of spots now.
Well, not just useful, but valuable. And I think
But go get Elias Pettersson. That's the next move.
And what he does.
That is the next move. Let's go.
What we all know about Luke, he just played his 1,000th game. I mean, it's really significant.
Dylan Cousins doesn't provide on the power play or defensively. Look at his plus-minus. He may have a lot of 5-on-5 points, but defensively he is oftentimes clueless in his own zone.
And then we talked about
No structure. No structure. I don't know if that's a, is that a Cousins thing or a
one check mark.
So he plays with Logan Stanley?
Or Hayden
Sabres
Fleury,
thing,
who's
right.
been really good there, and I think that's really significant. Now Kevin can go and look at it, and Mike and I talked about this earlier. I don't think it has to be a second-line center, but they need a forward, a heavier scoring forward.
Yeah, I mean, it fixes a need. It's a third.
Get rid of Samuelsson. Can we buy out Samuelsson, please, at this point?
In the game or pair with Morrissey, depending on what's going on. He did that with Morgan Riley and did it with great success. He's also signed for next year, and we know that Winnipeg having a little continuity is something that they strive to have, so that's a good thing as well. So, yeah, I mean, Winnipeg's the best team in the league.
Right.
They don't have a whole bunch of gaping issues they got to fill.
I wonder if the Sabres do anything more here today.
One of the guys who fits that bill nicely.
Yeah, seemed to have a really good.
If only Jack Quinn was gone too.
Yeah.
Now that's a guy who has been a total clog in this lineup.
Luke Shen is
Unnecessarily
the best
takes up
organizer
a
of team meal
I've ever played with.
Oh, okay.
That guy does nothing for us. Give Bernard Docker time. He is a good defensive D-man. That's some of what I'm seeing from Ottawa. I don't know. I don't recall him ever being a high-impact D-man. I'm a little hesitant on putting him next to Owen Power. I don't know, Byron Aline, Power, Bernard Docker. I don't know how that significantly boosts your lineup. I still think you need... I think that Kevin Adams needs to make one more big move here. Yeah, I think that Kevin Adams needs to make one more major shakeup of a trade. First off, let's get rid of Henry Okiarhu. Let's get rid of him. Yeah. Folks, I'm going to be sad about Dennis Gilbert. So sad. Hometown Buffalonian was a decent 7th defenseman, although watching him and Jacob Bryson last night was kind of brutal. Or no, watching him on certain nights has been brutal. Connor Clifton, Jacob Bryson, they all suck. A little over 2 hours to go until the trade deadline, folks. Keep ticking down. And if you folks are mesmerized with me constantly scrolling, that's how it's going to be. Bro, my internet has been so ass this stream. So annoying. Folks, make sure if you're still around, hit that like button, subscribe. Folks, what do you think about the trade deadline so far? Yeah, Luke Shen is 35. Winnipeg acquiring a depth defenseman for their playoff run. Bang. That's my thoughts. Those are my thoughts. Oh, Brandon Bean, you had the funniest thing possible. You can do the funniest thing possible today and go get Myles Garrett. Do it. Just do it. Yeah, Matt, we will suck forever. Oh! Leafsnet has been clamoring for a trade, and there's your trade, folks. There it is. Scott Laughton going to Toronto. Probably for first. There's your trade. There it is. There's your trade. Toronto's been asking for a third-line center for a while now. Scott Laughton certainly fills that role. Bro, this Martian guy is overrating everyone. Dennis Gilbert, I love him, but there are times where he pissed me off. Yeah, probably a first-round pick and probably one of their top prospects, maybe Minton. They haven't elaborated yet on TSN. Do this! Do it, Buffalo! Do it! That's true. Doc Snatch, you bring up a good point in chat about, Gilbert. I hate my internet. Neil, agree to disagree. I'm going to keep harping on Elias Pettersson. Yeah. Sabres have a surplus of left shot defensemen. If I go back to the depth chart here. Where is it? Let's see if they've updated the depth chart here for Puckpedia. There we go. Nice. Yeah, see that better? Not fire him up to play with Dahlin. Bernard Daka goes here. Samuelson down to your third pairing. It's not horrible. Could be better. And can my internet stop being stupid? Please. One Russian limit. Alright, but Sabres, let's get two more trades in here. A Moody floater and is grossly overpaid. I disagree with you guys. He is a franchise center when he's on point. Totally disagree. Get rid of Bryson next? We could do that. Oh, jeez. Jeez. Let's see. Are we back, finally? Yes, Neil, absolutely. You nailed right on the head. If he stays healthy, Norris would be that second-line center the Sabres have been looking for. He absolutely would. Him, Tuck, and then insert another winger. Mitch Marner, ideally. Let's pay $14 million for Mitch Marner, please. But we're at 1 o'clock, folks. Less than 2 hours to go until the deadline is over. So the deadline is past us. Ooh. Oops, I gotta stop showing that. There was a mirror effect going on there, folks. Shut up. Shut up. Stop. No JJ Peterka. No. No. We're not doing that. We are so not doing that. Novikov. Didn't Novikov just get injured? Or no, that was Nuchev. Nuchev got injured, right? Victor Nuchev? I'm thinking Nuchev versus Novikov. I don't really know a whole lot about Novikov. I know he's been good in Rochester, and in his development has been good. But I don't think Novikov makes the jump. I think the Sabres definitely need to start trying to win now. Stop. Stop! No! Get out of here. I can't. He comes good. That's gonna suck to have to play Cousins 3 or 4 times a season. I never like someone being traded in the division. Hey, Matt, if he bombs in the playoffs, hopefully, that lowers his market value here from like 12 million to maybe 10. Is it confirmed a first rounder, Neil? Is it a first rounder? Alright, if you guys say so that Novikov is good, I don't doubt you guys. I just haven't watched much of him. Great. Can we hope that Josh Norris stays healthy, please? Alright. Brady Tkachuk, you can come to Buffalo as well. Yeah. Marner to Buffalo would make a whole lot of sense. When I eventually make a Sabres free agency target video, Mitch Marner will be in that video. But the only thing is, ownership here in Buffalo may not want to pay him. Ooh. I would love to see Mitch Marner on the first line. That didn't really change. Well, the internal cap accusations still hold up because the Sabres didn't really lose any money here. All right, there's your lineup. Oh my God, there's your trade for Scott Laughton. A first. Wow. Carlo Koliakovo, former Sabres legend over here. There's your depth chart. Folks, what do you think about this depth chart? Not including Jason Zucker. Oh, that fourth line is so garbage. So garbage. Still don't love this team. Yeah, first round pick for a third line center who's probably going to be a rental. I don't know about that. Get Patage here. Ooh, Kulik. There's so many decent centers here. Matt, they have the same. I think you're being sarcastic here. I'm going to assume you're being sarcastic. Yeah. Josh Norris is very injury prone, unfortunately. So we haven't heard much.
Tonight, and it's like you're asking a lot out of those
yet
guys,
about any other moves other than the Scott Laughton trade. But there's that Luke Shen trade from a little while ago.
Yes, like MJ talked about, like he's not exactly a stout.
Sabres have a surplus. We got 8 D-men right now on the roster. Henry, where are you going? Kevin, are you going to make anything else? Also, folks, do we know if Kevin Adams is going to speak to the media yet? Is that confirmed? Do we know that?
Against the Sam Bennett, against Nick Paul in Tampa Bay, and feel comfortable in those situations. So this is an upgrade for the Leafs come playoff time.
I did a segment earlier with Brian Hayes and said, you know, we're talking about the Florida teams and how does Toronto need to respond? Well, this is a Florida and Tampa move.
Yep.
They identify a player that fits the need, and they go out and pay the price to do it and bring him in, and now it better rounds out their lineup. And I think
the goal is not going to open up his wallet.
I couldn't see a better fit.
I can't see it happening
on the trade market that can play your third line center role.
Like the Leafs are in tough right now.
Yeah.
Look at all that cap space for next summer. $24 million with relatively few roster holes. I mean, really, there's a lot of roster holes on this team, but a lot of guys under contract. Go after him.
They are better equipped to handle those two teams.
Give me Mitch Marner. He so would.
Before they're in third place.
Probably not
in a great position for them.
Start on the road.
Stay relatively close in the division. We get a lot of money for sure from Buffalo.
For the Buds and to play some golf
with Carlo.
But look at this. There's got to be an internal cap hit. Look at all this cap space.
Let's bring in Mark Masters from Denver, Colorado.
Look at that, and it doesn't. Yeah.
On Saturday.
It's going to keep jumping up. Look at that jump. 24 million in cap space. You can go out and get 2 big players with that.
What do you make
2 big players.
Well, he's used to it because I was covering him back at the 2014 World Juniors.
Yeah, I think Kulich did make Cousins expendable.
And I remember
Kulich is only going to grow too, folks. He's going to be a top 6 center here in the future.
How trustworthy he was on the ice, and I imagine he's going to be a favorite of Craig Berube very quickly for a lot of the reasons all of our analysts are saying. Obviously, you're looking at the center depth. We talked about it earlier today. It just slots everyone a little bit better. It just makes the lineup look a lot better.
I think Mitch Marner is absolutely realistic in being a Sabres trade target. The only barrier to that is Terry Pegula opening up his wallet and spending the big bucks to make it happen.
It gives them some flexibility moving forward if they want to make another move. And, of course, Cowan and Mitch are fantastic prospects who could help them down the road. So I look forward to getting that mic in Scott Laughton's face again. And I think it's a great move by the Leafs here.
I'm really concerned about the Leafs if that's them practicing behind you, because they do not look good. I know, a little beer league action going on at the rink before the Leafs get out there perhaps a little bit later.
There's the beer league.
What about the repercussions down?
There's Mitch Marner. Come here. Come to Buffalo, baby. Come here. Come to Buffalo. Yeah, but Mitch Marner, he'd fill a lot of holes here. Hey, John. Who are you, a Toronto fan or something? Like, wow, you're just really coming out and insulting everyone here in Buffalo, huh? Or Sam Bennett. He's gonna get a definite pay raise. Probably leaving Florida too. Can we bring back Jeff Skinner just for the memes? Bring it back. Scoreboard be damned. Guys, tell me again that Elias Pettersson is not good enough. Tell me again!
A major role with Tampa Bay in those wins, but he's a guy that has been there. He's done that. He'll be the oldest player on the team, in the locker room. He's going to bring a ton of calm. He's rugged. He'll help.
I'm on Luke Shen right now on Trade Center.
But okay, you don't get a second line centerman. But what if that second line isn't getting it done? Can you flip flop now Adam Lowry and Vladimir Namestnikov? Second and third line. Now you got Brandon Tanev that maybe can pop up in place of Cole Perfetti if need be. I think you don't get the second line center to this point, but you do get 2 rugged players, and you give yourself more options in that kind of middle 6.
So many options.
Brandon Tanev can play the
Still
left
a couple
side,
more hours until
maybe he can play in the top 6 role if they need be, because he's a durable, hardworking guy that fits the playoff style that I think the Jets are looking for.
Kevin Sawyer in New Jersey. Again, the Jets playing the Devils tonight on TSN3. You can catch that one in the Jets region. So over the last hour or so, a flurry of deals involving Canadian teams. The first one was the Ottawa Senators sending Josh Norris and Jacob Bernard-Docker to Buffalo. Dylan Cousins, Dennis Gilbert, and a second-round pick in 2026 come the other way. Josh Norris, longtime friends with Brady Tkachuk. Here's Brady's reaction to the deal.
Ooh, here's Brady's reaction.
Yeah, no, just spent the last little bit with them and kind of take advantage of every minute the rest of the day.
Aw, poor Brady. He's on tears, on the verge of tears.
It's part of it, but no, with Cuzzy and Gilbert, we're going to welcome them with open arms, and I feel bad a little bit that
You're going
this
to
is
Buffalo.
the initial reaction, and of course, I think they're going to understand why it's a little bit of a whirlwind for me personally. And but with that being said, it's all about being a good captain, being a good teammate, and making sure that they have everything that they need and have the support.
Oh, poor Brady.
That,
No,
they're going to be important pieces to our team.
Brady,
And,
don't be sad.
Yeah, just leave it at that.
Very sad.
That's the single most emotion I've seen from Brady Tkachuk, that kind of emotion in his entire career. And we talked about this earlier, how close they were. He came up with Josh Norris together. And this is the first time we've had a deal that's impacted the core of the Ottawa Senators, and you can see how he felt.
Yeah, you could just feel it, right? Just
Well, no, Matt. See, what you guys are missing is that was 5 years ago. That was when there was still hope that the Sabres would be good. Pegula's done that. He showed out a lot of money with no results, and now he's been pulling back the purse strings. Maybe Pegula hasn't thrown out big money at outside talent in a while.
Time as well to rebound sometimes and find your footing after that energy gets taken out.
You just saw all the elements of the National Hockey League, the business side where this transaction goes down, the human side where it's one of your best friends that's going out your door, and the competitive
continue
side.
to be a hater.
We're also going to welcome the new guys in because we think we got a real good chance to win now. So all three of them in that one clip, you saw all about the NHL in that one little clip there.
He'll be fine, but I appreciate how raw he was.
Wrong.
He was in tears, talking about the prospect of Josh Norris not being around. But he also recognized as a captain, I got to not have the first reaction be, oh, I'm so upset that these new guys are coming in. It's a tricky dynamic for him because they were that close, and he'll get over it. He'll be fine, but for the next day until they arrive, or maybe through tomorrow's game, he'll figure it out. He'll find he'll find it again.
Please don't be injured again.
Made the decision a little bit harder for Stales, knowing how tight they were.
Try not to be injured.
Exactly. When your captain's that emotional and he's your go-to guy and it's his
Ooh,
best friend. You
guys ever remember losing somebody you were close to on a team like that really upset you at a deadline or before? I'm putting you on the spot. So
yes, absolutely, Neil.
Montreal, I wasn't particularly. I was just gotten there, but Saku was really upset because they were very
8 years,
close.
$12 million. Holy!
San Jose, I think it was that year, and that would have been one where. Would you take into consideration a captain's feeling like Brady Tkachuk when you're trading one of his best friends away?
Damn.
They didn't.
That's a major monster deal for Dallas. I'm surprised. I'm not certain. I'm not sold yet that Mikko Rantanen can drive production without Nathan McKinnon besides him.
They're playing at 12:30 tomorrow.
Definitely a big bet.
Rangers. Be interesting to see how they come out as well, because there's not a lot of time. Maybe it's a good thing they get right back on the ice, they get moving, they get going, don't have time to think about it. But certainly a tough time.
Jamie McLennan does most of our Ottawa Senators games, and you see Brady up close all the time. Did that catch him off guard a little bit, how emotional he was?
It does, but, O just talked about it in Gio as well, and MJ, where you lose, this is the human element of this scenario, where, yes, there's a business component. Brady,
where was Mike?
He's the captain of that team. He wears his heart
on
his
his
sleeve.
reporter.
But when you look at that core,
and an insider, he didn't catch the scoop.
Talked about on the panel was, maybe they wanted to try and make the
all he does
playoffs
is just
as a
complain
group and finish the job this season, and they don't get the opportunity as that group,
all
the spine of the team, based on Josh Norris being traded. But there is a business component, and then there's a friendship component. They'll always be friends, but it's going to be different.
This is a good move. Keep your veterans.
Chuck and Norris, they came
ship
up
out
together.
underperforming, high-earning guys.
I'm sure there's some tears today, but they're going to have to be back to business tomorrow.
You guys talk about the element, the emotional element of being traded. When I got traded from Buffalo to Philly, my best friend was my roommate, Danny Briere, and I know he's watching. He kicked me out the door, Jimmy. He was like, hey, your car's waiting. Get out. And I used to just give him money and money and money playing cards because I lost all the time. And he was still happy to see me out.
It happens. You know, I got traded when we were on the road. We were in Dallas and we were playing in Colorado 2 nights later. I'd broken curfew.
There's always going to be someone that complains.
That wasn't the reason why I got traded, but I came in at 5 o'clock.
I'm still shocked that in today's day and age, teams are willing to trade with each other in division.
The next morning, and I said, is it because I broke curfew? He's like,
Still,
no, we had this trade.
Still surprises me.
The bus, gave me a hug, all of that. They were so upset they won 7-0 the next night.
Yeah, really.
Jason, you're pissed?
Speaking of guys on the move, James, you got somebody on the line.
I do. I don't have anybody on the line. But
I think we've got Tanev waiting to talk to you.
Oh, okay. So we'll take a break, and if we do, we'll get Brandon Tanev. But thank you for surprising me with that. We'll be happy to have Brandon Tanev on the line. We'll take a commercial break here on Trade Center, an hour and 45 minutes before the deadline.
Well, I got an hour and 39 minutes, Trade Center. I'll never forget. Need to revamp the entire front office already? I don't know. Yeah, Rantanen does look like he's going to Dallas, though. Don't agree with this. Rich, keep getting richer here. Yeah, how did Carolina have Gensel, Nachas, and Rantanen and manage to keep none of them? I'm mad that Dylan Cousins couldn't develop here. I am mad that we couldn't keep him forever. I wish. Yeah, Quinn and Jokier who need to be the next two out. God damn. Dylan Cousins, you'll be forever missed. Good thing I didn't buy his jersey. Alright, Jason. Let's hold on here. Quinn is not in the consideration for our best player. Dylan Cousins, after the past 2 seasons that he's had, not him either. He's been a passenger for the majority of these past 2 years. Yeah, I don't know about that. The Turk I'd be really pissed at. I'm glad that I haven't seen anything with him being traded. Glad with that. We are just over an hour and a half to go until the NHL Trade Deadline, folks. Oof. Josh Norris. Josh Norris is the guy. Come on, folks. Be happy. It's gonna be okay. Be okay. Oh boy. Oh boy. The player card doesn't look good for Bernard Docker. Kevin is awake. This is one of the weirdest trades ever. Getting Wayne Simmons as a rental for the playoff push. Poor guy. I disagree, Jason. I think that Jack Quinn has been pretty useless. Oh! Rantanen! We got Rantanen news! Oh! Oh! Oh, I should probably...
Essentially had to come back to $12 million.
Well, and as we're sort of doing the housekeeping on the Scott Laughton deal, one little note here is that it's the 2027 first-round pick the Leafs are sending Philadelphia's way. Maybe a little wiggle room on what exactly the protection is on that pick, but it's just notable because
there
Toronto
you go,
retains this
Mikko Rantanen. Bye-bye. He's getting traded again, this time to
That's
Dallas, where he's
5
likely to
things
sign a
this year
major
so far.
extension.
They have more coming up the pipeline, but Rantanen is the big addition, and that is a monster deadline deal. It's hard to remember a player in his prime this accomplished being dealt at the deadline.
So I have
that's
no hard
shocking.
information, so I'm going to take the role of James Duthie here and pose the question to the panel over there. James is not paying attention. But I'm going to pose the panel question, and that is, knowing it's
Nice.
Logan Stankoven...
Okay,
and 2
Kevin Adams is
first-round
rebuffing
picks,
all
and you
interest
give up
in
Marty
Peterka.
Necas
Like
to
that.
get Rantanen, good or bad deal?
For Carolina, yeah.
Taking my job. Doesn't want to be an insider anymore. He wants to be a host. But it is the valid question, as Bob usually does. And first of all, just again, as Gord was mentioning, let's just take one step back here before we react to the deal about how unprecedented this is. Not just for a player of this level to be traded on deadline day, but for a player of this level to be traded twice in the deadline period. It may have happened before. It hasn't happened in my time doing this.
I think Norris is going to play with Alex Tuck,
twice at the deadline.
so he'll get a lot of assists beating him.
It's been the story of the NHL the last month. The fact that it might happen, the fact that Carolina didn't have a contract worked out, that they seemingly made the first trade on the hopes that he would want to go there. Yeah, so it's been incredibly unusual for a player of this caliber to do that. And you think about the $12 million figure, I wasn't in the negotiation with Colorado, but I have to assume that he probably could have got the same contract or something really close to it, maybe even more than this, in Colorado. So I wonder, was it a city specific, not about the team so much, but I want to be somewhere specific, I want to be in whatever city, or did he just recalibrate his financial demands as he got close to the deadline? Because
Quinn loses the puck. Quinn and Cousins this season were two of the worst transition guys. All right,
bad deal for the Carolina Hurricanes. Like, are you any closer to winning a Stanley Cup now than you were last year? No, you get to the same point in the playoffs and you can't score. And last year you lost Jake Gensel, and guess what? He walked. You were still in good shape. You went after the big UFA fish that no one even knew was on the board, and if he walked again, you would have had a chance to win, and if you got nothing for him, you still probably would have been in good shape, regardless of whether you were able to sign him or not. It's great, you bring in Logan Stankoven, but in the here and now, like in this window, are you any closer to a Stanley Cup?
Not done yet, though. We'll wait till 3 o'clock. They have 2 first-rounders that they can do something else with.
Josh Norris, baby.
That's very valid, but like for
They
Dallas,
were
you've
so
got
bad
a
at
big
crossing
way.
over that blue
You're
line.
You're going to get Tyler Seguin back, and you're going to get Heiskanen back. Like, my goodness, this is a deep team.
Logan Stankoven's going to be a really good player in the National Hockey League.
But you think-
you're right. In the here and now,
But you look at that in the top line, you've got Robertson now and Rantanen. I mean, that is unbelievable. And then the playoff performances of someone like Rantanen.
New York is so
100 points
useless.
in 81 games. He's big. He gets to the middle of the ice. This is a perfect compliment. I mean, it would be a perfect compliment to almost any team. When you go back to Carolina, you know, I had this thought process. I was thinking to myself, keep him. You know, keep him. You are in your window right now. Hold him. You know, even if you can't extend him in free agency, now you're giving up. Now you've got all this cap room. You've got
I
all
wonder
this
if we're
space
going to see
ready.
Norris
So,
tomorrow night
for me,
against
I'm
Boston
really
or
surprised
Florida.
that he didn't remain in Carolina, given that the window they're in
wonder.
right now and they're as a contender.
If I'm a player in Carolina's room right now, I'm saying, we better be getting someone to come in here before 3 p.m. I mean, you lost Nakash, you lost Rantanen, 2 guys who would definitely help you score goals in playoffs. But Rantanen, to me, I'm the same way. 100 points in playoffs, like that's been the sticking point for the last few years. You're not getting over the hump because you can't score goals, and you got a proven goal scorer. Sometimes you got to live with guys walking away and trying to figure it out in the summer.
You wonder if the fact that
Look at that nice player card. That's beautiful.
Showed them maybe whether it's because he wasn't comfortable, or maybe it wasn't the best fit on the ice.
6 weeks?
But I'm saying, like, maybe like they have to make a call. Today's the day they have to make it, right? So maybe I have to think, if he had 17 points in 11 games and 9 goals, they probably would have kept him.
If the Sabres were winning, players would want to come here, but you're right. Sabres have to be on almost every single no-move clause, no trade clause.
You have, the bird in the hand. They know they can get these assets back and then do whatever they want with them. It's a tough decision to make. They didn't have all the information probably that they wanted to make it by today, but
his return to Carolina when Dallas eventually plays, there's going to be some. I don't think there will be no tribute video.
Okay, think about what's walked out the door in Carolina over the last year. The 2 defensemen, it was Shea and Pesce. Now you made replacements, that's fine, but they're good players.
Do you want Brady Shea back right now?
I wonder if Kevin Adams makes that next big trade over the summer.
No Teravainen, no Natchez, no Rantanen, no
Only
Gensel.
wonder.
Did I say Nason? Like there's a lot. It's very different. And I can't honestly say that Carolina is any closer to winning a Stanley Cup than they have been in the past.
In a market, like, we hear a lot of times, like, well, you can't keep going back to the same thing. They're doing something different.
Yeah.
I mean, it's what you...
Something to be said,
If they bring everyone back, you're like, well, hang on, why are they bringing everyone back? They never win anyways. You got to... Rantanen situation aside, like...
Nice spell job here. Dylan Cousins.
Letting Shea walk and letting Pesce walk. Gensel, they wanted to resign. He chose to leave himself. So some of it's not the club's making. They can want to do things if players don't want to play ball, like Rantanen did not. He turned down more money.
It's a bad look, though. The whole situation's a bad look.
Well, you're admitting you made a mistake.
Yeah.
But you just offered him more money than Dallas signed him for. Yeah. So your mistake was maybe not knowing he would sign.
That's the mistake.
But your mistake is not you didn't sign, that you didn't offer the money. You offered him more, right?
Yeah. And part of the mistake, too, is, you make this move with Rantanen, it's not on his radar at all. Like, when guys get traded, if you're a UFA, you kind of have an idea. You're playing on a poor team. You're like, I can see there's a trade coming. Like, you
guys of that stature, particularly, usually pick their destination.
Maybe guys ask for a trade. It's on their radar. Like, this guy had to show up, start playing for Carolina. Like, this was nowhere near his radar, so he gets a 6-week audition, starts finally taking some baby steps in the right direction. Now he's got to go somewhere else. At least this time, he was able to wrap his head around it.
It's also a little bit different, too. You're playing alongside a great player, Aho, and not McKinnon. So you're working your way into it. But he's been a consistent performer over the course of his career. So for me, that alongside his playoff performances, sometimes I think, when you're a part of a team, you went out and specifically got him because you want to be a playoff contender.
No, Jason, it's okay. We'll watch Josh Norris, and as long as he stays healthy,
so you went out and did that.
We're okay.
And not to hold on to that and give it that time, to me, is a mistake.
He was shook by that trade, right? Clearly. Give the guy some time to get his feet on there.
See if I can find the tweet detailing the full Mikko Rantanen trade.
He has the power to do all of this.
Colorado was a rush-based offense, especially with Nathan McKinnon. He was awesome at trailing on the rush. Cycle-based offense in Carolina. Even though he's a big guy, maybe not so good at chasing pucks down.
Where's he going now?
Pretty
good rush hints.
Pretty good rush
play.
Wow.
Go get him. I'll come late and shoot in the open.
Let's get more on this from Jennifer Hedger and Craig Button.
If Kevin Adams got rid of Cousins and Peterka, I'd be furious.
In 2015, he's had 5 30-goal seasons, Craig, and now he's a member of the Dallas Stars, who are looking real stacked right about now. What's your take on the acquisition?
Okay, spoiler alert. Okay, we have the GM of the Day award. Jim Nill, we'll just put his name on it right now. Jim Nill gets the award. It's over. And the Dallas Stars are my.
What if somebody gets Sidney Crosby?
And the Dallas, I have the right to change my mind. Okay. And the Dallas Stars are my Cup favorite. Okay, so
now they've all of a sudden become your Cup favorite.
Absolutely, they have. I mean, Rantanen's a difference maker. That's a good team. Jason Robertson has found his game. He struggled early in the year. He has found his game. You got a big-time player in Rantanen. Haskins
Norris helps with power play production. He helps out with everything.
I'm giving my team
more offensive upside. More offense. Because we don't get a consistent second line with Cousins.
You see that Natchez is out, and they're going to get Logan.
There's your trade. There's your full details of the Mikko Rantanen trade.
gets turned into something else later on today. But
what a mismanagement from Carolina's management. They get rid of Marty Necas and Mikko Rantanen and only get back Stankoven, couple firsts. That's it. Like, I don't know what you're doing if you're the Carolina GM. How could you have not confirmed a contract extension with
you can't have a guarantee that you know what
with Mikko Rantanen before trading for him. I mean, Dallas was able to do it.
You would
just
think,
crazy.
But part of the problem is that they wanted to be secretive. And when you're secretive, sometimes you don't get the opportunity to get the feel and get that inkling. And now, to me, Rantanen was the guy, the bigger player, come in, add offense, try to go deeper in the playoffs. To Mike's
Peterka
point,
is a guy 5-on-5. He's only growing. He's already surpassed his career bests in everything. Thank God he doesn't want to trade Peterka. Peterka would have to get you a superstar. Peterka like a second-round pick, a first-round pick, maybe. Like, Peterka is so good. He is going to be one of the best first-line wingers, I think, in the NHL. So, if you're Kevin Adams, that's certainly a guy who hasn't been underwhelming, who you need to keep for the considerable future.
There's massive pressure on them. And there's also pressure on the Winnipeg Jets because Mike talked about finishing first in that division. The Dallas Stars are right on the Winnipeg Jets' heels.
Those sneaky Stars. James, back to you.
Stop. No, also him. Alex Tuch, keep him. He's not the problem. Alex Tuch is not the problem. No. Well, I think Dallas is out on him. Tampa out on him as well after getting Bjorkstrand. So I guess really it'd be the LA Kings who would be the only big suitor left for Alex Tuch. Quinton Byfield, anyone? Either way, no, thanks. No. Brant Clark and Quinton Byfield, please and thank you for Alex Tuch. That's the only way I consider doing that trade.
I don't know if they get there.
Let's get more from a couple of stars of a television/radio program called Overdrive.
It would have been, I need you out here in track pants and boots to talk about this deal. It would have been incredible. You know who you look like? Rod Brindamore. Rod Brindamore, and you were famously roommates with him back in the day.
Yeah.
What do you think is going through his head right now?
Ryan O'Reilly doesn't want to go back to Toronto. Toronto media killed Ryan O'Reilly last season, last second part of the
Hurricanes game, and looking him behind the bench, yelling and screaming. Just imagine a conversation with him and the general manager. If the GM said, I'm going to turn Necas, I'm going to move it around at the end of the day, things are going to change a little bit. But
yeah, TSN doesn't know what they're talking about. They don't know what they're talking about.
They're worse.
Exactly.
Yeah, worse.
He's trying to be in the now and in the moment and try to win a Stanley Cup. And he would say back to the GM, how does that make me win right now? I think this is amateur hour general manager play. And I just don't know how you make that transaction for Rantanen with not having the understanding that he's going to re-sign there.
TSN is killing Carolina's GM Tulsi right now.
But not knowing that he was going to re-sign, that is crazy.
Yeah, Neil, they can't.
You're ending up flipping
Tuch
into this.
needs to remain a Buffalo Sabre.
He's a good young player. He's got energy. I watched him at the World Juniors. Good energy guy. He's got some.
But he's not Rantanen, and he's still young.
And he's not Necas either.
Right, exactly. Well, and Craig just anointed Jim Nill the GM of the day because Jim Nill said, I'm not doing what Tulsi did. I'm making sure that I can sign this guy.
Jim Nill wasn't picking him up if he could not sign him.
Exactly. Like, that became abundantly clear. They're not going to make that move unless you're willing to sign him. And Carolina, I look back on it now and wonder, did they get duped by Colorado? Because Colorado might have said, well, we don't want to ruffle feathers. We don't want to let Rantanen know we're doing this.
Well, that's the curious thing about the number. And they made the deal. The curious thing about the number is, don't you think that Colorado would have been willing to go to $12 million?
Absolutely.
So what was different about the $12 million that comes out of Colorado and Texas? Obviously, the taxes could be an implication there.
Or Rantanen now knows what his
talking about Rantanen.
And I think that's going to be interesting. Again, we talk about Mitch Marner a lot on our show in Toronto. Rantanen, maybe he thought he could get more in Colorado or deserve more, and they said, okay, we'll ship you out. Maybe he thought, okay, I should get more in Carolina. Eventually, yes, state tax and all that. He settled on $12 million per year.
At the end of the day, there's a secondary tier of star players where we've seen Austin Matthews, Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl say, I'm the next guy up, so my value is going to go up, and I'm going to set the number. Maybe there's a secondary tier that's not going to do that.
Well, and that's reasonable for a winger, right? Rantanen's a great player. Yeah. Marner's a great player. Centers, Matthews, McDavid, number one defensemen like Makar and Quinn Hughes, they should be paid more than star wingers. Great seeing you, man.
Pleasure doing
Great seeing you. JD?
The O handshake, a patented part of the network now. You know what's interesting on the flip side with Carolina, too, is the second wild card in the Eastern Conference. Because you're going to flip over.
All right, folks, hour and
to the Metro.
20 minutes
Washington's
away.
A really good team, but I think there's some doubters that they haven't been there.
Sorry I've been quiet. I've
so maybe there's vulnerability.
Developing thoughts on my head, getting ready for this video that I'm going to record right after I end this live stream.
There might be a path there for something from the second wild card team to do some damage.
Rangers sneak in.
Ottawa, Montreal, Rangers. Considering how crazy it is in the Central, how crazy it's going to be in the West altogether, how tough the Atlantic's going to be, that might be the one vulnerable area there over in the Metro Division. We have more ahead here on Trade Center 2025 as we count you down to the
Stankoven's going to be very good for it. Yeah, but Stankoven is not the same level as a Marty Necas, a Mikko Rantanen, Jake Gensel even from last year. Stankoven's a really good third liner, high-end third liner, low-end second liner. I don't know what Carolina was doing with this whole saga. How could they possibly trade for Rantanen, not certain that they pay him 8 years by $12 million? Like, that's really bad general managing from Tulsky and Carolina. So yeah, this is the only major trade. We are still waiting, folks, on that Henry Jokiharju news. He is surplus right now. I wonder if the Sabres just waive him if they can't find a trade partner for him. Yeah, I still think the Jets could do a little bit more to add some scoring. I'm not confident that their core can do it in the playoffs. They haven't shown us in the last couple years that they can. Who knows? I agree, Matt, but Matt, I don't think we get that top 6 guy until the summer at the very earliest, if at all. Who knows with Kevin Adams? He always finds a reason not to do something. Yeah, Marty Necas was rumored to come to Buffalo. The only problem was he wouldn't give assurances to Kevin Adams that he would sign a long-term extension here. Therefore, the Sabres decided not to move forward with a Marty Necas. It sounded like the Sabres were going to give up their first-round pick plus a prospect. We're saying someone like that for Marty Necas. The only thing was that Marty Necas he has, at the time, I think, 2 years left on his deal. He said that he would hit free agency no matter what after those 2 years were up, and the Sabres were like, we're not going to trade away our long-term assets for a guy. We'll only commit to being in Buffalo for at least 2 years, so maybe at most 2 years. But the Sabres were very close to getting Marty Necas, but passed on it at the last minute. You'd have to imagine JJ Peterka would be coming back. Wilp. That didn't happen. Neil, I think, given these moves, I think that Kevin Adams has one more year. I think next year, if he doesn't make the playoffs, he's gone. But Kevin Adams seems to be operating as if he has one more season as the GM. He is safe. Yeah. Yeah, so Matt, as he explained, Nate just stayed in Carolina because he wouldn't commit to being in Buffalo long term. I don't think it was necessarily the team. Both teams had a framework of a trade back in the summer, right before the draft. Just didn't work out on the player's side. But I have no problems with Buffalo throwing in a second-round pick here today. If that means keeping Peterka, I would so get rid of that second-round pick. Alright, we are ticking away. Tick, tick, tick. Get rid of Henry Okiaru. Come on, guys. Let's do it. Make sure, folks, hit that like button, subscribe. You know what to do. Folks, what are we thinking in chat, huh? Was it a huge overpay? I don't really care about overpays at this point. I just want him to do something that continues to make this team better, take them in the right direction. I don't know. I know that's what the is, but Pagula's been the guy of non-stability. He's been trying to maintain stability by keeping Kevin Adams on the post for as long as he has, but objectively, or if you're looking at Kevin Adams, he took over this team when they were in last place, and now they are still in last place. No, definitely not a bridge deal. Sign Peterka long term. Sign him long term. Peterka earned it. He's going to be one of the best 5-on-5 wingers in the NHL for years to come. Quinn trade. Get rid of Quinn. Or you just let him. Don't give Quinn an offer sheet and let him walk in the summer. I don't really know, but he hasn't proven enough to maintain to warrant being on this team long term. But Peterka needs to be signed. Jack Quinn can go bye-bye.
go from one.
Oh, Trade Center talking about some dumb shit. Oh, poor Leafs latest. You'd rather keep Quinn over Krebs? I don't know. Krebs provides a little bit more defensively. Well, we got one significant move today. Wow. Quinn just doesn't provide enough defensively, guys. Sorry. Sorry, he just doesn't.
Dallas. They made that move getting Morgan Frost and Joel Farabee. How about that goal by Farabee last night? Just terrific. Beauty. And Conroy made just one small deal last year on his first deadline day. So the significant one was the acquisition of Frost and Farabee. And you think, Craig, that roster's seen, I mean, the entire core has been overhauled over the last 2 years. So was this a time to say to your veterans, hey, we like you, we're going to keep to the plan here?
Jason, I agree with you wholeheartedly on that.
Absolutely it was. And for Craig Conroy, he's been very clear about what their plan is. The age of play accumulate, young players, prospects.
Yeah, I hope the Sabres better not trade for Turca. That's the biggest thing we're looking at with a little over an hour to go into the trade deadline. I don't know. I feel like at this point, I think the Sabres are done. I think the Sabres are done making moves. It's just that Cousins move happening.
Gets Frost. You look back at, he's been very consistent. Their prospect cupboard is loaded. They have Dustin Wolf, difference.
Well, Matt, Quinn's skating hasn't looked good at all since
difference makers in those key positions. You're on the
since
right
coming back from that double knee surgery. I'm afraid he's toast.
Well, I think,
and he doesn't look confident whatsoever, much like Dylan Cousins. Jack Quinn's confidence has gone bye-bye.
All of a sudden, you're tracking that way. You've got your veterans, you've got your experience. I think they can probably
Jason, that's well within your prerogative to believe that it's the coach's fault. I think that hiring Lindy Ruff has been a mistake. I was not in favor of that when it originally happened.
This would be a great addition for this.
I was much more of a Craig Berube guy, especially because Craig Berube wanted to come to Buffalo. He is a Stanley Cup winner, proven winner, who is not a retread. He's doing great things in Toronto. He has provided defensive stability in Toronto that Lindy Ruff has not here in Buffalo.
Honestly, it's like, okay, you take but Calgary stayed the course. So they haven't, spent the farm on anything. Yes, Rasmus Andersson will be an interesting piece, but I think that's an off-season situation where, you're either going to sign him to an extension or you're going to move him.
Jack Quinn's that guy. I mean, Dylan Cousins. I've seen less from Jack Quinn this year. He has looked so garbage.
Well, and
he has done nothing that tells us that he
you're
wants
getting
to
players
stay
that
in
can help you
Buffalo
now,
and
but
can
are gonna be
succeed in
around for the
Buffalo.
future. And for, Calgary, you go back to the offseason, they signed Anthony Mantha to help the team this year, right? He hasn't been available because of the ACL injury. So if they wanted to make a move just to give themselves a little bit of a punch here going down the stretch, I would be okay with that because you already budgeted having one of those players that you don't really have available. But I would think it's more, the moves that keep the long-term vision in mind, similar to the Frost and Farabee.
And again, more on Calgary. If the Flames do something a little this afternoon, let's move on to the Vancouver Canucks.
We're getting close,
Brock Besser
folks.
today, still waiting for word out of there as we approach 1 hour to the deadline. But let's look at the Canucks chart as it looks like right now. Patrick Allvin has made 3 trades over his 3 D-days at the helm. And, of course, they got Philip Cheadle and Victor Mancini. They made those 2 deals on January 31st, which were the real significant ones after they moved JT Miller out.
I don't know about that. That's not a adding by.
Close to a playoff spot.
That would not be good
for the Vancouver Canucks after a year where everything went right for them. So who are the real Vancouver Canucks? They're somewhere in the middle.
I don't think we should be trading Peterka for Elias Pettersson. Although I have a sneaking suspicion that if that's the reason why a trade hasn't already happened. That Vancouver's probably asking for a first, Peterka, and then I don't know, maybe a Novikov, Nuchev, maybe an Ostlund type of player. And that package right now is too rich for Kevin Adams to pull the trigger on. That's what I think is happening.
At the end of all this for Vancouver, they're right in the mix of things.
I don't think the Vancouver Canucks have ever hidden the fact that the playoffs seem to matter more than anything.
Jason.
Right. But, the season hasn't gone well, to your point. And at the same time, the Quinn Hughes injury has to concern them.
Right.
I mean, he took 2
We
weeks
can't
off
bring in. Oh, I wish we could bring in Craig Berube. Oh, we'll have to wait till the summer. We probably will keep Lindy Ruff for next season, too. That's the worst part about it.
It's a seller's market. I'm seeing what the prices are for player. Brock Besser, to me, is a player that I think that he can gauge the market and probably get a really, and I'm not talking about a first-round draft pick. I'm talking about a player.
Player right now, to help you out right now.
To help your group. And if you look at it, I keep coming back
no
to
thanks.
They're battling for
Byron
a
and Peterka for that guy, no.
I think you need some calming forces. They got 3 Petterssons on their team. I mean, the one they really, really care about is the guy making 11.6. I mean, if he could get some form of his game back, I mean, the spine of that team, you just mentioned Quinn Hughes. Quinn Hughes is arguably one of the best players on the planet. Yes, you've got to be concerned about his health, but when he's playing and they're close to a playoff spot, he's Hart type of material, been dragging you close to the playoffs.
We got 21 games left for the Vancouver Canucks. It's such a critical 21 games for Elias Pettersson. But the problem is if he doesn't do anything, if he's the way he was all year,
change of scenery-esque
then
trade.
you make a decision on him, but then the trade market value.
I'm not saying that I want to trade away Peterka, lliterally.
It'd be a fascinating
The fact that other people want us to trade away guys like Darlene, Power, Peterka, just mind-boggling. I gotta think that these people don't watch Sabres games. Power, you could argue he's been part of the problem this year, but for Tuck and for Peterka, definitely not. Definitely not.
Talk a little bit about the Montreal Canadiens because they're one of those original 6 teams right on the border of making the playoffs.
Doc, it's been 14 years. We can't keep having patience. And Jack Quinn, there's been no glimpses of Jack Quinn coming back to form this season. Zero.
5 teams right now, and they're playing some really good hockey. They got a lot of good, young, promising hockey players.
I'd be interested to see what. The problem is, I don't think we get much for Jack Quinn right now. It's tough. Our best option is probably just let him walk or trade his RFA rights to a team in the summer. Because his value is at an all-time low right now. You're not going to get anything for Jack Quinn right now. Maybe a 4th-round pick, but what good does a 4th-round pick do for you? It doesn't do you much. Maybe a 1-year, $2 million deal. But look at these. This production is just not good for a guy that we thought would be a top 6 winger for the Sabres this season. Just hasn't been good enough. Him and Peterka came together, and Peterka's been blossoming. Can we return back to this form here when he was looking solid? Even last year, he was looking okay when he came back from injury. But his defense has just been putrid. Horrible. But yeah, folks, we tick on closer to the trade deadline here. We are 1 hour away until 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock, at which point the trade deadline will be over, or will have passed, and no teams will be able to make any more trades. 1 more hour of stream time. My question is, folks, the Sabres need more high-end talent. We haven't had that guy since Jack Eichel. If not Elias Pettersson, then who? If not him, then who? $15 people into the chat. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. We'll love to see more additions to the community. Josh Norris's production would slot in right above Dylan Cousins. You're basically trading like for like here. Like for like. Oh my god. Luukkonen! Stop being ass! Stop being ass! I thought you were gonna be good! Oh, Luukkonen. Why? Do not trade these two guys. Look at him. How can you tell me that JJ Peterka needs to be traded? You can't. You just can't. Yeah, let's finish off this Yokiaru trade, please. Peterka has certainly been balling out here. Alright, Jason. I hope you're right. Because, like, oh, Peterka. It gets me so angry when people say that. Look at that! He's already better than last year! He's already better than last year! Ugh. Marty Wilford, yeah. Lindy should have been allowed to bring in his own coaching staff. He should have. Fred Berube. If could only wish that we got Berube instead of Lindy, but and I love Lindy. Lindy's a legend, but his system is not compatible with our young players. Maybe our young players are just trash. No, Jason, they're just cheap. And they're a boys club. This is a boys club here in Buffalo now.
La intensidad cortando, el drama imperante. Hay un disparo el cual es inefectivo. Los Senators, 30 segundos por jugar. ¿Podrán lograr el milagro? ¿Pasar la gloria? ¿O será que los Bruins le dicen que no?
Can we get more of this for Josh Norris here in Buffalo?
20 segundos. Hacen un disparo el cual
like last night on a 6-on-3, we could have totally used this.
13 segundos. ¡Y lo logran! ¡Se ha empatado el juego!
What? Whoa! Whoa! Middlestat to Boston? Really, Boston? That's what you call scoring depth? Or Middlestat? Where's the news? Where is it? Where is it? No. Is that happening? Casey Middlestat? For Charlie Coyle? That'd be a weird trade for Boston. Yep, they're... wow. How has Casey been this season? I know he's been pretty garbage. Oh. Hi. So around Dylan Cousins' level. Yeah, he has... Nope. Definitely not. I miss this. Gosh, I miss this! Him actually producing...
Me down? Anyone?
Check TSN now. This is what TSN...
We try to pretend it's an action movie anyway as we welcome you once again, everyone, to Trade Center. We are 6 hours in, 3 hours remaining, but we want to welcome everybody who's just joining us now on ESPN.
So there it is.
If you are wondering what that opening's all about, well, usually doing a 9-hour show, we consider it a mission impossible. Sometimes it's pretty quiet. Has not been that day. Significant moves made already and numerous big names.
I'm glad that the NHL...
1 hour
Is my feed way behind?
the deadline will take you all the...
Let's see here. I'm going to update it.
And so when they send him to the American Hockey
there you
League,
go.
they open up another million.
There you go. You're right. You're right. I don't know why I was so far behind. That was weird. It hasn't been buffering, so...
And they've made a deal.
That's weird.
Yeah, Luke Cunnin from San Jose Sharks, Blue Jackets adding him, not finalized yet officially, but in the
Columbus
works.
is making a trade as well,
again, it was important, I think, for Don Waddell to add a forward, to give this group that has battled so hard all year long to stay in the playoff race another piece, and that's what he's done here.
So normally, Bob, one of the main storylines on deadline
We don't
day
have any good
is
coaches.
defensemen. Teams loading up on defensemen to add depth for the playoff drive. We've not seen a ton of it so far.
All right.
Yeah, I wouldn't be
You know
all
what?
that
I gotta go to the
surprised
bathroom,
if we see a run on
folks.
defensemen here. There's still...
All right. I will be... I gotta go to the pisser. Luke Cunnin, that's a solid fourth line guy, fourth line center, can win faceoffs. Not much offensive upside though. Columbus, that's just a I don't expect Kunin to draw on much. That's Columbus trying to beef up their defense in preparations of a potential playoff run. Damn. Good for you, Matt. Me trade away saying no one Luukkonen would not get you much right now, and I'll be right back. Guess who's back? Oh. Yeah, Boston sucks. Boston sucks. But there's the trade. Charlie Coyle going to Colorado for Casey. Colorado's been really sour on Casey Middlestat this season. And, well, he hasn't been putting up much defensively, and offensively, he hasn't been that second-line center they were hoping for him to be. I want to get this trade board. Shut up, Matt. Don't know. That's not actually happening, is it? Oh, Bryson, a first-round pick, and Yoki. Yeah, I don't know if that one would be happening. No, if we were to get Pettersson for that kind of price, yeah, sure, I'd love Pettersson. Yeah, Colorado's got Brock Nelson and Charlie Coyle. They're looking to be a juggernaut. They're preparing for that first-round gauntlet against Vegas. Yeah, Colorado, I would think, has got to be some. They are going to be Cup favorites now, right? Them or Dallas. Everyone in the West is beefing up. It's an arms race over there. Oh, did I? Well, there's the new headline, I guess, right? Colorado's a juggernaut, yeah. I mean, it's undoubted. Everyone's got to be saying that at this point, right? Colorado is a huge juggernaut. Major juggernaut. They got Brock Nelson, Charlie Coyle, only gave up Casey Middlestat. I mean, there's no Mikko Rantanen anymore, but, like, come on. Their team is loaded. Loaded. Stop. Neil, stop. Marchand is not coming to Buffalo. No way. Yeah, no way.
And if they want to go with, call it the Washington model, where Washington last year, yes, they made the playoffs, but everyone knew that that wasn't necessarily sustainable.
I don't want to hear about Jack Eichel right now.
Retool on the fly. The Boston Bruins, they can't go into a rebuild right now. They don't have enough in the cupboards, but if you keep Brad Marchand around, which I would do if I was the Boston Bruins, maybe you can find a way to do a retool just like the Washington Capitals did last season. It's just there's too much that has been built up over time that is so very much associated with the Boston Bruins and Brad Marchand to just say that, you know, we're going to move him because he's a UFA. He means so much to that team.
Absolutely. A core piece. We'll see what Boston does within the next hour after making that big Charlie Coyle move. But let's move down our board because, well, Boston's making some noise. The Vancouver Canucks have been
the NHL needs to step in and take over the Sabres because they are trash.
Yeah,
and we need to find a real owner for us. Terry Pegula is not it.
Brock Besser's coming off a great season. The Vancouver Canucks are coming off a great season where everything went in for them and everything went in for Brock Besser, and now it's been a little bit different for them this season. But you can't deny.
Marchand, I was thinking Marchand could maybe go to Colorado for a time, but obviously that window's closed.
Brock Besser is going to help you. I would describe Brock Besser this way. He's not a perennial 40-goal scorer, but he's a 30-goal scorer. He's a 40-goal scorer light, meaning on a good season where everything's going well for him, it can happen. Now, the Canucks are in a playoff race, like we've talked about many times today. They value making the playoffs, and so I wouldn't be surprised if at the end of the day we're sitting here and the Vancouver Canucks are using Brock Besser as an own rental.
9 seasons with the Canucks. We'll see if he will stay with Vancouver for the meanwhile. This last hour is when things get real spicy. So, James, we'll send it back to you.
They've been pretty spicy so far. You're right, Lindsay. Colorado making significant moves. Dallas on this day. Ottawa, Toronto. Teams like Tampa and Florida did it in advance of the deadline. Let's check in with Jennifer Hedger and Craig Button on the GMs who they feel have to do a little bit more before we're done.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a real arms race in the West so far, Craig, with Charlie McAvoy and Brock Nelson going to Colorado. Dallas,
you don't know about that one?
Into a long-term deal. When you look right now,
I don't know. That's been the rumor mill.
Trade deadline. Is there one GM right now who's looking, going, oh my God, I better get moving here?
I don't know if he's looking at it at oh my God, but Kevin Cheveldayoff has just seen the balance of power shift, and we just heard everybody talk here. So to me, Kevin Cheveldayoff, we know that his team's been top of the league. We know that they're good. We know that he would like to have them be a little bit stronger. He's made a couple of moves. He added Luke Schenn, really good move. Third pair.
Man, I think it's just for Elias Pettersson. He too needs a change of scenery, or right now. He desperately needs this season to end.
What can I do to make sure I finish in first place in my division?
So you don't have to meet these guys.
Exactly. Let Colorado and Dallas beat each other up. You know, one of the top Stanley Cup contending teams out after 12 days. Like, or less. That, to me, so... 0 win. Is there somewhere I can do? We keep talking about second line center. That ship may.
Yeah, but Doc, his career has been derailed by significant injuries. It's happened.
And some scoring ability will help them as well. But if I think right now for the Winnipeg Jets, finishing in first place is got to be job number 1.
Very valuable. All right, let's look at the East. There's 4 teams right now vying for that final wildcard spot in the Eastern Conference. Calgary, Vancouver, St. Louis, and the Utah Hockey Club. Is there one of those 4 teams that might be thinking, this is a time for us to do something?
Well, I think it's Utah.
Really?
And Bill Armstrong hasn't been hesitant to be aggressive. We've seen him make the move for Sergachev.
40 minutes, folks. 40 minutes.
There's lots of excitement.
Let's see if there's anything else that happens that goes down here.
They have a lot of good young players. I don't think that Bill's hesitant to consider trading some young prospects, some pick that try to give his team a little bit of a boost here. And that's something that other teams looking for certain types of players, that becomes the... Keep in mind, he got Sean Durzi back from...
Is his name Jacob Bernard Docker or James Bernard Docker? Is it Jacob? I think it's Jacob.
He's back playing. They're hopeful to continue on this good run, but he could really push his team. Calgary's not going to do anything significant. We're waiting. Is Vancouver going to be a seller?
Yeah, I was right. It's Jacob.
Buyer,
nice.
And then you
I was right.
The teams that are close. I look at LA too, Jen. LA, I know they picked up Kuzmenko. They need scoring. Yeah. That's a really good team. And I go back to 2012 and 2014. They were in a very similar spot. Really good, needed scoring. 2012, they got Jeff Carter. 2014, they got Marian Gaborik. The end result? Stanley Cup, Stanley Cup.
Stanley Cup still feels a little ways away for LA right now, but we'll see. We still have about 43
I had a
minutes
little
or so
thing
to go
for
until
chat
the
so I
deadline.
can see
James,
chat
back
on
to you.
Screen. All right, thank you guys. As mentioned, the deals start
Still
to
like
come
the Jets over
usually
Dallas or
pretty fast and
Colorado.
furious in this final
I
hour.
don't know. They haven't had any
Peter
playoff
Mrazek
success.
and
They've
Craig
had
Smith
Hellebuyck,
both
but
from
he did
Chicago
not look good
Blackhawks
last
to the
year
Detroit Red
in the
Wings.
playoffs
Trevor
against
Raynaud
Colorado.
going
He
back
was
the other way.
exposed.
So Mrazek rejoins Detroit 1 point out of a playoff spot at this time right now. We're going to check in.
Minor
with all
trade
our
here for
Canadian team
Detroit.
reporters as we go across the country, beginning in the East, where, of course, Mark Masters is in Denver, Colorado. Looks like he's on FaceTime now, covering the Leafs for us today. Claire Hanna, busy day already with the Ottawa Senators, and Kenzie Lalonde. A little quiet for Kenzie in Brossard, Quebec, where the Montreal Canadiens practice, although they're out of town right now. Let's start with Mark. What are you on the move right now, Mark Masters?
We're getting ready to move, James. The Leafs are going to practice here at the University of Denver pretty shortly here, probably in the next 30 minutes. We're going to see players on the ice. But
There we go. We got a
general
trade
manager
here.
Brad Treliving is going to address
Detroit
the
is
media
acquiring Peter
early on
Mrazek
the
and
deadline
Craig
at the
Smith
team
from
hotel. So
Chicago.
we're getting ready
That
to
trade
go
just
to
went
see
down.
him. We will also
Fairly
have a
minor
response
trade.
from the players, of course, and Coach Craig Berube, who has a some track record with Scott Lawton, who the team
Joey
acquired,
Valeno.
courtesy his time in the Philadelphia organization, as does
So
Philip
Steve
Myers,
Yzerman trying to shake up his lineup, get
so I'm
some
curious to hear
playoff
what some of the
experience in.
reaction to that trade. And also, Leafs are done, right? Will they try and make an addition on the back end? You're wondering, Oliver Ekman-Larsson
So
right
there's
now is
another
playing
trade
his
going down
offside
with just
beside
over a
Morgan
half
Rielly's
hour to
33 years old.
go
Is that the ideal
here
setup as you get
before
ready
the
for
trade
playoffs?
deadline
Probably not. Can they make
kicks
another
in for the
addition
NHL.
on the back end? They
Hey,
weren't
sure,
able to
folks,
keep
if
their
you are
top
new
prospects
again,
in the
hit that
trade
like
for
button,
Scott
subscribe if you like what you
Lawton,
see.
as well as that
I know
2026
Cal and
first
Jaden
rounder.
are
So
going to be
curious
doing
to see
more
if
of
they're
those
done or not.
podcast
Regardless,
videos.
I'm on the move now, James. I'm heading to the team hotel.
Expect
and we will
more
have reaction
content,
from Brad
different
Treliving
content,
shortly.
I'd say, over the next couple of
On
weeks.
a previous segment, people gave me a hard time. I was talking about the seagulls in the background interrupting you, and people were saying they were Canada geese and I should lose my citizenship. Can you confirm whether they were seagulls or Canada geese?
They were Canadian geese. It was almost a Hitchcock-type film there earlier this morning. But yeah, Canadian geese, that is confirmed. And if a bald eagle showed up, we'd be in good shape because we know they can hold their own there.
Safe travels, Mark Masters. And we'll hear from you a little bit later on when we get to some availability from Brad Treliving. All right, let's bring in Claire Hanna. Fascinating morning in Ottawa as Josh Norris, really the first time they've traded someone from their core. Dylan Cousins come back the other way.
They're talking about the Sabres again.
Buffalo Sabres. And
no, they're going to talk about it from mainly Ottawa perspective.
That we'd seen over losing his friend to the Sabres and Josh Norris.
Yeah, James, and I do think that Brady Tkachuk is a very authentic person, but this was the most emotion I've ever seen him with. And you hit the nail on the head when you talked about the core being shaken up. Since their last playoff run in 2017, they've started to collect these players, whether it's Brady Tkachuk, Tim Stützle, Shane Pinto, Drake Batherson, Jake Sanderson, and Josh Norris. And this is the first time that that core of young players has had to deal with the loss of a teammate due to a trade. And Brady Tkachuk really struggled to find words to describe the emotion
man, my phone's going to die here soon.
He was stumbling many times, just saying, okay, I'll leave it at that. Next question. Touching on the history between him and Josh Norris. Of course, they played for the U.S. under 17 and under 18 teams. They were roommates. Of course, they've played their entire professional careers in the NHL together. And Brady Tkachuk even mentioned to Dylan Cousins, he said, I feel bad that
What did she just say? She said Dylan Cousins?
Why it's been a whirlwind for me personally. But right now, he said, of course, it's about looking ahead, about being a good captain, a good teammate, and figuring out how to support these two players.
That's
Dennis
hilarious.
Gilbert as well, the defensemen that are coming in from Buffalo. And it's my understanding that the Senators, earlier today, when we were at practice at the Sensplex, a couple players were on the ice, and then those players left the ice, and they had a short team meeting. Now, I believe that both Josh Norris and Jacob Bernard-Docker were getting ready for practice. Travis Green pulled them aside and mentioned that they were probably being traded, and that's when the team found out as well, and then the players all took to the ice. And I was keeping my eyes on Brady Tkachuk during practice, and he was lacking some of that spunk and joy he normally has, because this is clearly a big deal for him losing his buddy. Now, when it comes to Dylan Cousins, though, I think we've
Stop saying Cousins! Why is this lady on SportsCenter or Trade Center keep saying Dylan Cousins?
Allmark mentioned he's a 200-foot player.
God!
He's not scared about getting in the dirty areas, and he said, I really think he's got a great personality. We also heard from Drake Batherson in the dressing room following.
Dylan Cousins is not the name. That is not his name.
Have a history, or Cousins rather have a history. They played together for Canada at the World Championships, and Batherson said that the two were.
They keep talking about how he's a 200-foot player. He barely shows up in his own zone, let alone in the offensive zone. God, I understand you guys not, but holy crap, he is not that kind of player you guys are talking about. He hasn't been that. He was only that guy for one season out of his 4 or 5 and a half of his NHL career. He's only been that guy for 1 out of 4.5 seasons.
In the next hour, but we will see.
He has the potential to be that guy permanently, but like,
perhaps the loneliest reporter in North America today. It's Kenzie Lalonde. Not only have the Habs done nothing so far on deadline day, but they're on the road. So Kenzie is all alone in Brossard, Quebec, waiting to see if the Montreal Canadiens will do anything.
Oh, Buffalo, or TSN. Please watch more of these games. I thought TSN would be good.
at 3 o'clock. Kenzie, what are your expectations?
I'm just a lonely reporter, James. No. I've got Patrick and Anthony here next to me as well, doing some hits here today. But I would be surprised if the Montreal Canadiens make a move here before the deadline. Of course, you look at those 4 UFAs.
Oh, we got 9 people in chat. 34 minutes to go. 34. Woo!
James, the news of the day here, there was some exciting news. Kaiden Guhle was on the ice today, which was exciting to see for the first time since his injury on January 29th. He underwent surgery for a lacerated quadricep, so he was out on the ice for the first time today alone with a skating coach, moving quite well. His agility seemed to be there, and he was shooting pucks as well. So that's kind of our news of the day here in Montreal. Kaiden Guhle back on the ice. Kent Hughes is expected to speak with media here around 3 p.m. An opportunity for us to ask him about that Jake Evans deal and also how close he was or wasn't to maybe moving some of his UFAs today.
Right, and just because a team doesn't do anything on deadline day, they're not necessarily a loser on deadline day. The Montreal Canadiens have had a good season. They're playing meaningful games down the stretch. It's exactly what Ken Hughes and their side wanted. Just 1 point out of that final wild card spot now, trailing the Ottawa Senators and Detroit as well. That's Kenzie Lalonde in Montreal for us. And so we'll take a break here. We'll catch up with all the Western team reporters right after this, as we're just over half an hour away to the deadline of 3 o'clock Eastern here on Trade Center. Stay with us.
All right, folks, we got some more. All right, that off. Gonna take this off for now. Let's see. The Luukkonen trade, Columbus, nothing there. Casey Middlestat. All right, so we don't really have much happening right now. Ooh, I should take this moment since I have space over here. Neil, you gotta stop doing this to me, buddy. You're getting my hopes up too high. Too high. Put chat over here. I'm being. Yoki Hard 2. So I guess we'll get to see more Casey Middlestat.
There's no way.
Oh, Casey, I miss Casey. He was one of my guys. I liked him. All right, 31 minutes. It's getting closer. I can feel the anticipation building up. How many other GMs have waited until now to do their homework, huh? Neil keeps getting my hopes up, though. I'm sad. You're making me sad. Oh, Dylan Cousins. I'm gonna miss him. A little bit. Part of me's gonna miss him. Other parts are not gonna. Whatever. Still can't believe Carolina did what they did. All right, we're back.
As it usually is, and then pretty much even from 12 to 1. From 1 to 2 so far, we're
so there's
halfway there to the total.
There's been more happening
Again, 9
here.
trades in the last hour last year between 2 and 3 p.m. So yeah, we were a little off in the 1 to 2 hour. We'll see what happens in this last hour here on TradeCenter. Not so much perhaps the volume so far this year, but the names have been significant as we, as promised, check out our Western reporters. John Lewis covering the Winnipeg Jets as he always does for us. He is in New Jersey. Ryan Rashog is in Edmonton for us, and Salim Valju, who covers the Flames, is in Dallas, Texas. Let's start with John Lou. So we've been talking for weeks about the Jets looking for that second-line center, maybe the one real piece missing from this team. They don't get it today, but they nibble around the edges with Brandon Tanev, a good depth forward, and Luke Schenn, a really good depth defenseman, John.
Cousins?
Yeah, James, and you really hit the nail on the head. Nibbling around the edges, depth. That's what this turned out to be for the Jets, and certainly it's a disappointment for the fan base, and from the standpoint that they were hoping for an upgraded 2C. Of course, that ship sailed around midnight when the Colorado Avalanche got better, and then got better just within the last half hour, adding Charlie Coyle, and the Dallas Stars making a huge move, an absolutely seismic move in the Central Division. And so the Jets, are they better?
Is it really?
Probably not. Certainly, when you talk from an offensive standpoint, compared to what two teams that they would.
It says my feed is 4 up to date. I'm gonna refresh it, Neil. Why? Something else happened? We're behind.
Buck in the low areas of the ice.
They're talking about Winnipeg still.
The Jets weren't able to answer that physical call. But you got Luke Schenn, who can help in that regard from a physicality standpoint. They got tougher and grittier with Brandon Tanev, penalty kill, an energy guy as well. And so, yeah, they did address that part of their game.
Doc,
from an offensive
might as well.
No,
I don't know if Bernard Docker is going to be here long term, so I'd be hesitant about that.
Heading into the postseason, James.
All right, that is John Lou.
Would love for him to be here long term
tonight against New Jersey. We're going to
doubt
the Western reporters just for a second here because Mikko Rantanen, who the most significant name of the day being dealt, is on the line right now. Mikko, James Duthie with you. I don't think we've ever had in the history of the trade deadline period a player who's been through what you have been through over the last few weeks. Describe what the entire thing has been like for you.
Yeah, it's been it's been crazy, like you said. It's first obviously traded from Colorado, and it happened quick, everything, and then all of a sudden you're in a new team for first time, and then this situation comes with the contract and stuff. So it's been something that I never thought I would experience, but here we are.
Okay, first question, why not Carolina? You get traded there,
why not? He's not going to say anything about that.
Weeks to adjust to the team. By all accounts, they made a contract offer. Why did you decide at this point in time you weren't going to sign with them?
Well, I think at the time, obviously I had to look at all the options because there was no deal when the trade happened. So I was kind of in a situation where I had to really think about my life for.
Sounds like bro did not want to be in Raleigh,
but also off the ice and obviously
definitely
really good team in Carolina. As we've seen in last couple of years, they've been close to the Stanley Cup but I think just the fit in Dallas and I'm thinking about it a lot with my. My camp and myself and Susanna and everything. So just the fit, I feel like, everywhere. I think that was what the decision was.
Yeah, bro did not want to be in Carolina.
Makes the decision that
the Hurricanes are going to hate him.
And you're talking about a place where you would be willing to sign an extension. Was Dallas the only place? Was that the place you zeroed in on?
He's not going to tell you that.
There are other things you had to consider there.
Yeah, well, I think it's probably hard if you just single out the one team, so I wouldn't say it was just one team, but it's I think just the fit is.
How do you gotta feel hard done for Colorado? They get rid of this guy, purposely trade him to the East to make sure they don't have to see him a lot, and then he gets traded right back to in division.
For a month or so, and trying to think about everything. And
hilarious.
But yeah, just to fit in Dallas, and really excited to be part of the.
But for Dallas, Mikko Rantanen is huge for them. That's the scoring that they'll need in the playoffs. Right there, he's a playoff performer.
How close were you to just saying I'm not signing anywhere? You don't get many chances at unrestricted free agency. How close were you to saying whether Carolina was going to keep you or trade you somewhere as a rental? I'm just not going to sign anywhere, and I'm going to wait till July 1st. Was that seriously considered?
Like I said before, I think everything was considered at the moment. It was everything was considered. I would say that way. Obviously, I knew. I played against Dallas a lot. I know they have a good team. I know the city well enough, and everything. He knows the city well enough. I heard good things about the organization and everything.
I wonder if Colorado, how badly they're going to boo him for going to a divisional rival.
It was a decision at that point.
Going to be crazy if we get a first-round Colorado-Dallas matchup in the playoffs, won't it be?
Yeah. It would be, it's two good teams, so it's possible for sure.
Listen, I really appreciate you joining us. We talk about whirlwind times for players around the period. I don't think we've had a whirlwind time like you have just had, so really appreciate you taking a few minutes out of your day, and best of luck in Dallas.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, that's Mikko Rantanen, who, again, is the first player of significance, we believe, ever that has been dealt twice in the deadline period. He was shocked when he was dealt from Colorado to Carolina. Carolina had hoped they could sign him long-term. It became clear that wasn't going to happen. You could tell from Mikko's answers there that he just needed more time to think about it, like the fit in Dallas, and so he gets an 8-year extension done with the Dallas Stars, and he'll be there for a long time on what is a really good-looking hockey team. Let's pick up where we left off now, and one of the most prolific quilters in the Western Conference, Ryan Rishaug. That will mean nothing to you if you weren't watching the show earlier on in the day. So, as an Oiler, all the Oilers fans out there,
doesn't seem like we have any news on Henry Okiarhu, folks.
Colorado's doing.
There's one other move that I think would happen today. I would have expected that one to be it.
Through one of those teams, or Winnipeg, if they're going to make it back to the Stanley Cup.
But it hasn't really done so.
Well, I can tell you when Mikko Rantanen got traded out east, they were all going, awesome. And now he's coming back west and potentially in the Oilers' way. So whether you're an Oiler fan or your Oiler management sitting up there watching the show,
his only really good game was against Buffalo.
Today, a bit of an arms race happening here. Good teams that the Oilers have had a tough time with in the past, making themselves better. And so, James, I don't know exactly what's going on with them or, precisely what they're up to. If I'm them, I'm sitting there feeling like, okay, if there's a chance to get something done late here, it feels like the impetus would be there to do it, considering all these other moves going on. You don't want to let it cause you to do something goofy or stupid or anything like that. But, let's say, I've been talking about Ryan Donato today. Are you on the phone with the Blackhawks kind of waiting to find out if that contract is going to happen or not? And if it doesn't,
nothing.
Then see if there's a way you can add a 23-goal scorer to your lineup. The Oilers have a clear need. Their top six is not populated by top six players. It hasn't been that way all year.
Keep ticking on. Get closer. But I think the Sabres have been done.
More up front. They're better puck movers on the back end.
Folks, do we know Kevin Adams is going to speak?
They're more physical now. We knew that they needed to do that. The goaltending, they're going to just stand pat on. If possible, they need to add a little more punch up front. And you look at what's going on around them, you got to think that they're feeling that, I would assume.
Always tough to get back to the Stanley Cup final, although we've seen teams in recent years, the Florida teams, do it. But really tough for the Oilers in what is an absolutely loaded Western Conference. But they have McDavid and Draisaitl, so they're definitely among the favorites to get there. We appreciate you, Ryan Rishaug. Once again, we go back to Dallas. Salim Valji covers the Calgary Flames for us. Of course, they were in Dallas last night. And it's been quiet. You've lost the cowboy hat here. You've given up on the Texas ways, Salim.
Well, smooth gaming. Who would want Yokiarhu, really?
From them today, and so we still might see something in the last 15 minutes. But
I'm sure Kevin Adams was asking for a first-round pick.
It's been silent from the Flames. Not a shocker today.
Yeah, James. No.
But it really does seem like that.
Really
Yokiarhu is going to be remaining in Buffalo.
Say nothing in 2 languages, but I think that's what this organization needed, right, James? It's been a good year off.
Sabres have been trying to move him for 5 days. How does Henry got to feel? He's got to feel horrible. Management tried to trade him for 5 days now.
Their players an earnest shot.
Couldn't, and now he's just expected to come back and play for the team that doesn't want him.
I think at times he's toyed with the
idea
how I'd
feel if I were him.
Center who shoots right, given that's a pretty glaring need. All Calgary centers are lefties, James.
I have to feel a little bad about that for him. He's still a human being at the end of the day.
And I think they're really aware of that chemistry, and as a result, it's not a shock that they're not going to do anything. And this group now, as constructed, including new acquisitions, Joel Farabee and Morgan Frost.
That's true.
Will get a chance
now Danny Briere is asking for a first-round pick for Rasmus Ristolainen this go-around.
The past couple of seasons for the Calgary Flames.
And right now, the Flames sit in that second wild card spot, 1 point up on the Vancouver Canucks.
How has Risto been this year?
Down in
How do you expect him to get a first-round pick? He's got 19 points in 60 games now. He's been okay defensively, but
gathering some sound from Rick Tocchet, the coach of the Vancouver Canucks, on what might happen with the Canucks in these last few minutes before the deadline.
What about just having him here still? I know there's a lot of uncertainty around him and a number of players, but if he is here for the next 30 minutes and beyond, just you getting to coach him again.
Well, it's just the trading deadline days like this. Was there half hour left or something like that? Still trying to trade half the immediate guys, but no takers. I was trying to get a second-round pick for you too.
That's it.
That was it.
No value.
No value. That's actually high.
You weren't willing to retain.
That's actually retain. Yeah, it's always it's always that moment.
There's another guy who we should have had, Rick Tocchet.
It's for our job as coaches, we just move along.
NHL teams love mediocre defensemen. Yeah, especially contenders. How many more years does Risto have in his contract? It's got to be a lot, right?
Rantanen bounty for Farhan, a couple of firsts and a Logan Stankoven. This was earlier, by the way. We got Farhan up really early on the West Coast, like 4 a.m. This is before he was doing his hit. This is not acting. Farhan was sleeping on the job, but he's been working hard since. Right at the rink, getting ready for if we'll get anything on Brock Besser and the Vancouver Canucks in the last few minutes.
17 minutes,
the
folks.
Deadline here on Trade Center 2025. Back with more right after this.
We've got much left. I wonder if we're going to see any more major trades. We haven't seen as many trades this year as we did last year at the deadline, but I'd argue this year's was a lot more impactful trades. Oh, I missed this one. Cody Glass going from Pittsburgh to New Jersey. Going through old tweets, reading about all the hope that we had for Dylan Cousins. Necessary shakeup. Well, if someone wants to pick up Yokiarhu, they got 15 minutes to do so. Are they really? Dallas fans really want Henry Yokiarhu? That'd be funny. What for a 4th-round pick? Yeah, take him. Kevin, just take whatever you can for Yoki at this point, right?
And another one for Paul. Charging back the other way. Buffalo.
Yoki. Oh, we got not too much time. Not too much time on us. On Kaliev.
This guy can do it all. Justin Gaethje is fearless.
Dylan Cousins, you are gone. Give us a 5th round pick. Yeah, give us a 5th round pick, please.
And crave. Trade Center is presented by Harvey's new Frings Poutine, where they've combined their crunchy onion rings with their classic poutine. New Frings Poutine. Try it for a limited time.
Yes, please.
O-Dog did not have his burger today, but man, did he wolf down the Harvey's poutine. It was something to behold. Since 2005,
we want pylon.
Traded on deadline day and had their names engraved on the stand.
Kyle Poso.
In that same
They're
season.
talking about
There have been
Poso.
some significant players in there. Billy Guerin, Marion Gaborik, perhaps the most with LA in 2014. Mark Recchi in 2006. A lot of just little pieces, though, that have helped teams along their way. 35-year-old Kyle Poso made it an even dozen last year when Buffalo traded him to Florida, and the Panthers, of course, going on to win the Stanley Cup. 13 minutes now away from the deadline. Again, there's usually a trickle of deals after the deadline as there's a lineup at NHL Registry, so we'll be with you for the couple of hours afterwards. First, right now, let's check in with Brian Hayes and his panel.
All right, thank you, JD. Here with Carlo Koliakovo and Emily Kaplan. Emily, you're down there in Tampa where the Boston Bruins have arrived in town. They just practiced. They're preparing to play the Lightning tomorrow night. There have been some moves, including Charlie Coyle just getting dealt. Give us a vibe check. What's going on down there with the Bruins?
See what she says.
Vibes felt a little nervy, is how I would describe it. Just, you know, everyone even around the team just knew something was happening, but they don't know what. And sure enough, right after they practiced, Charlie Coyle did get traded to the Avalanche. The big question, though, for all of them is what happens to Brad Marchand. And I think it's such a difficult situation, in part because he's injured right now. He's back in Boston rehabbing. We expect him back right before the playoffs. And everyone always assumed he was going to stay. We always know he wants to stay in Boston. I still think that's the case. But yesterday, hearing that the Bruins were having a bunch of conversations with other teams, I think
if
players
Boston
on this
were
team
to
are
trade
saying,
Brad Marchand, love that. Trade him to the West, please. Do so. Do it.
Yeah, that would be some groundbreaking news if we get the captain of the Bruins being moved between now and 3 p.m. I don't think Vancouver fans love transitioning from Marchand in Bruins chat into the Canucks, but Brock Besser, as of now, he's still a Vancouver Canucks. You know, he's a member of the team. What do you think is going to happen here, Carlo?
So Vancouver, to me, is interesting because I'm just trying to decide what they want to be. Do they want to buy? Do they want to sell? They have some interesting pieces, but you look at the year that the Vancouver Canucks have had. They built off of tremendous momentum of losing in a Game 7 last year to Edmonton. They come back. They've got most of their lineup intact. They signed Jake DeBrusk. You're looking at this team to take that next step, and it's been kind of a middling season right now in Vancouver with a lot of turmoil. Right? Think of all the stuff that this team has had to deal with. You know, the Demko injury, the Miller-Pettersson saga, the Quinn Hughes injury right now. They're 1 point out of a playoff spot, and Quinn Hughes is still hurt. Besser doesn't want to resign. Elias Pettersson is still struggling to find his game, and struggle is an understatement with Elias Pettersson. So what are they doing in Vancouver? Make a push for the playoffs, or are they looking at this as an opportunity to bring back some assets and look towards next year?
I think it's a great question. I when in doubt, I think, where is Sidney Crosby at in the landscape of the NHL?
Yeah,
what
give
is he thinking
Yokiari to the
I don't
Leafs.
believe
I'd
he's
take
going to
that.
be dealt over the next 10 minutes. So he
Boy,
would
that
be
would
a
be
Pittsburgh
something.
Penguin.
Hey, Bob?
That would push everything aside, absolutely, if Sid got moved. But they have made some moves. They have obviously brought in some prospects and brought in some picks. But are you going to commit to a full scorched earth rebuild? Why is Rickard Rakell going to stay beyond 3 p.m.?
Yeah, I don't know
Are you
about
going to keep
that,
Erik Karlsson
Doc.
into the future? These are questions I have, Emily, because if Sid has signed, which he has, and if he's going to be committed to the Penguins, are you going to have any opportunity to win over the next 2 or 3 years? Kyle Dubas, I think, Emily, has to make that determination and go all in if they are going in that direction.
You know, and it feels like what he's trying to do is what his division rivals, the Washington Capitals,
Just
did so
watching at this
successfully,
point.
and that's retool
I expect
on the
nothing
fly.
to happen here for the
Capitals, of course,
Sabres.
got a little
As
help
we
when
move
some of
into
their
the
big
final
contracts
couple of
had to
minutes
go
of the
on
trade
LTIR,
deadline,
and that
folks.
freed up some space to make some big moves. But, you know, they have collected a boatload of picks over the next couple drafts, and I think quietly this has already been going on, even if on the ice, like, it seems like they're still pushing for the playoffs. All I know is that when Sid signed this extension this summer for 2 years, he knew what he was signing up for. I think they want to stay competitive as long as Sid is there and expedite this as quickly as possible. And as it pertains to Ricard Raquel, and I would add Brian Rust in there, the challenge is these are players that want to be in Pittsburgh. So if you're going to try to do this quickly, and that's what they're trying to achieve here, you're going to need to have good, talented players that are committed to the cause and want to be there.
Yeah.
And I think that's
Poor
why
Sidney.
neither of them have moved
Wasting
yet. And I
the
think
final
they're
couple
open
of
to
years
moving
of his
Raquel,
contract.
but only if they're overwhelmed by an offer. And then I'm looking at everything going on. I'm like, what's not overwhelming about what happened today?
You know, Hayes, as we watched Sidney Crosby perform at the Four Nations, I reminded myself, and I think a lot of people did, why aren't we watching Sidney Crosby in the playoffs? That's what he's made for. He's made to play in those moments. Now, he's committed to this organization. But how much can we actually trust what the Pittsburgh Penguins are doing? Their goaltending's a disaster. Every signing that Kyle Dubas made last offseason has not panned out well for them. They've got bad contracts on that team. They've got older veteran players. I just don't know how they rebuild this on the fly or rebuild it quick enough to allow Sidney Crosby to be competitive in the playoffs with that team again.
That's the ultimate question right now. And Emily mentioned Washington, and Washington has now really changed the way I think people view the idea of retooling on the fly. They jumped in and took gambles on certain players, and they paid off. They also had some young players that were prepared to step in, and that adds some insult to injury if you're in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Right? Sid Novi, Pittsburgh and Washington, the Capitals are the top seed in the East. They look great right now. We know Pittsburgh's not going to be a playoff team. What do they do between now and 3? What are they doing in the summer to try to get back in the future? It's all up in the air right now, James.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating to watch. Thank you, guys. Just some extra business.
Hey,
Jim Bill getting a lot done today in
2.68.
Dallas. Not only Mikko Rantanen acquired from Carolina and signing an 8x12 extension, but Wyatt Johnson, just a terrific young player there, signs a 5-year extension at $8.4 million per. So Jim Bill spending some money on a really good Dallas team right now. We're down to 8 minutes until the deadline. We'll take you there right after this on Trade Center.
Getting close, folks. We're getting close. Yeah, this appears, so close. But yeah, folks, I guess the only move was, Dylan Cousins. I think this was unnecessary for Buffalo. I was hoping Adams would do one more move, maybe. Get some more of that dead weight out of here, but no takers. No one bit on Henry Okiarhu. Reminder, I will be making a video recapping what the Sabres have done at the trade deadline. So that will be coming out not too distantly from now. That'll be out very soon. But yeah, only 11 trades. This has been a quiet trade deadline. A little surprised. Hold on, folks. Go Buffalo. 4 minutes. What a nice, chill, little relaxed time to end things. I'm listening to a song right now, folks. So, that's why I'm not speaking.
Golden Knights have struck again. Bob McKenzie.
Yeah, well, they're obviously it's past the deadline, so it would have to be done. But and this is where you got to get into the gray areas of make sure you make it in time. But Thomas Hertl from the San Jose Sharks appears as though he could be headed to the Vegas Golden Knights. Look at, you like that,
That was a couple years ago.
That was such a Bob Father move. Right out of the blue, out of nowhere, 5 minutes before the deadline last year. That's what Vegas does. Now, I don't know if they're being cheeky here, but this is the Golden Knights account just moments ago.
No, not Vegas again.
So, does that mean they've done it again, or are they just being cute with us right now? Because they usually find a way. We'll find out over the next, I won't say 3 minutes, because they could have made a move that we don't find out for 15 minutes after the deadline, but we'll see, Jeff O'Neill, if Vegas has done anything.
My phone's gonna die.
Somebody hacked their Twitter account and just wrote hi.
No, that's what they do.
They're coming over the top with a monster.
They're coming with something.
I would bet the latter.
Okay, let's look at some of the deals that happened in the last 5 minutes of the deadline, beating the clock. This is
usually Vegas gets a big time for it. I mean, they brought back the original Misfit.
5 deadlines, so there have been some significant ones. Barclay Goodrow, of course, helped Tampa win a Stanley Cup.
So I wonder if
Hertl
anything
was the
else
biggest
happens
one
here,
that
folks.
Took us out of nowhere, but there are deals that happen. High of 14.
So we got 1 minute to go. Final minute, folks, and then I'm done.
A low of 5 last year.
Been streaming for 3 hours now. Trying to get towards the end of my
Has done
energy.
anything, to see if any of the other big players have done anything. Who needs to do something based on everything else that's happened?
I think Toronto's got to go find a defenseman. I mean, they got their third line centerman, but I think they understand what's going on in the Atlantic. They understand what Tampa's done. They understand what Florida's done. They're in first place still. They're in a great spot to win the division and avoid those guys in the first round. But I do think they need a defenseman. They're hard to find. It's hard to get the right fit. But I do think that's something that would be great if they could do.
I agree with you on the defense in Toronto, but when I look at the Jets right now, and you look at Dallas and what Colorado's done, I'd love to see them just get a solid, strong winger on that second line. And I don't know, it's a couple minutes to go here. I don't think it's happening, but it would be nice to see.
Yeah, I think, what about Vancouver? Like, what are they doing? They haven't done much today or at all. I just wonder what that result of that is. Like, is this if they're going to stand pat with what they've got on the ice right now, what is that going to get them at the end of the day?
Well, is it because they're watching Colorado, Dallas, and they're saying, there's not really much of a chance to get through that, so let's just stand pat and see what happens, or are they going to make
I mean, it's a realistic approach. It's a tough one, though, right?
No one would ever say it, but you can feel it.
Yeah.
If you're in that room. Brock Besser's the guy because they've tried to re-sign him. Doesn't look like he's going to get a deal.
All right, here we
looks
go.
Like he's probably going to walk.
Kevin Adams, I think it's over for you, bud.
Winnipeg?
It'd be perfect.
It is one of those years though where you go, you never say what's the point of getting in the playoffs, because it matters, and it matters for gate revenue and all those things. But when you look at that conference,
you think about the top 3 in the Central, and then you think about Vegas, and
Edmonton.
I guess you want to put Edmonton in there too.
You still do.
Those 5 teams are quite a bit better than everybody else. So the likelihood of running through 3 of them to get to the final, not good if you're Vancouver or one of those teams.
We're done.
Yeah, that's the way you got to look at it, Johnny. Not just one. Like,
you got to go through all 3 of them.
Can you mow through two or three of them? That's a heavy task, man.
Well, folks. Guess that's it for me. Streaming. No news. Alright, I'm done. I'm tired. when you record